for vet bills and pain and suffering after a dog attack.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2139, Stevens versus Stevens.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Although your names sound the same, they're spelled differently, and you are clearly not related based upon this case. You live in the same general area.
Yes.
Okay. Could you step up? Tell me your name.
Emily Farringer?
This is your daughter?
Yes.
How long have you been living in your house?
8.5 years.
How old are you?
22.
Tell me what you do.
I work at a bakery right now, and I'm a full-time college student.
Where do you go to school?
Idaho State University.
You were out walking the family dog.
Yes, I
Family
was.
has one dog?
Just one, yeah.
What kind of dog?
It's a miniature schnauzer.
Weighs about 10, 12 pounds?
Yeah, around there, 15-ish.
How old is the dog?
He is 9.
You've had him since he was a puppy?
Yes.
This case has to do with injuries that your dog sustained.
Yes.
And the payment of vet bills by the defendant, who you allege has 2 dogs unleashed that attacked your dog while you were walking.
Correct.
Him.
Just one dog.
One dog.
One.
One dog attacked our dog.
You have a pit bull.
Yes, ma'am.
What color?
White and brown.
How old?
She's 5.
Is that the only dog you have?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me what date you were walking the dog that this incident happened.
July 26, 2021.
Time.
Around 8 p.m.
Dark?
No.
Still light out.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you walking in the neighborhood?
I was walking down the sidewalk, and I passed the defendant's house, and I reached the end of the sidewalk.
Your dog's name is what?
Jax?
On a leash?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you always walk the dog on a leash?
We do.
Tell me what happened.
I was walking down the sidewalk, and I reached the end of the sidewalk. I was about to cross the street, and...
Do you have a picture, a diagram?
I have a
This-
diagram.
May I see it, please? Oh, okay. There it is. Would you go over to the diagram so that you can point directly and I can understand where this happened?
I was standing right here, and I noticed the dog come up on my left side.
On your left side.
Yes.
Did you notice from where the dog came?
It seemed to be out in the street when it approached me.
So it didn't come from the defendant's house, it came from the street.
Yes. It had been on the left-hand side of me. And then the pit bull latched onto my dog on its leg,
What color pit bull?
brown and white.
Was there any fighting or scuffle before?
No, ma'am. It just ran up to me, and it latched onto my dog's leg, and it picked my dog up and was yanking it around in the air. And it was very loud, and my dog was squealing a lot and crying out very loudly, so I yanked his leash so that I didn't have to bend down and get hurt myself. And I picked him up, and I ran back.
So you yanked him up by his leash?
I did.
Okay. Did he have what kind of a collar on? A regular collar or one of those harnesses?
We have both, so I'm not sure which one he was wearing at that time, but I believe he was wearing the collar.
Just the collar?
Yes.
So you lifted him up by the collar?
Yes.
Did you see where the dog went?
I do not remember. I think the pit bull ran back into the defendant's household.
But you're not sure?
I'm not sure.
What did you do next?
We took the dog to the animal hospital.
Okay. You can go back now. Stand close to you.
Sorry.
Had you ever seen this dog before?
I have.
Where had you seen the dog before?
I've seen the pit bull in multiple places around the neighborhood. I've seen it across...
That same dog?
Yes. I've seen it across the street in that across the street neighbor's yard, and I've also seen it in my yard, and it's also been next to my chain link fence before.
Did you or you, Ms. Stevens, ever have a conversation with the defendant about the dog being unleashed?
I have not spoken to her at all.
For how long have you seen her unleashed dog out and about?
Probably about 10 times.
Have you ever said anything to your mother about seeing this dog outside?
I have.
Okay. I'm listening.
Yes, ma'am. May I show you on the
Absolutely.
on the diagram? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. First of all,
No, don't tell me first of all.
Okay.
Were you there at approximately
Yes.
8 p.m.
Yes,
on
I-
July 26th?
correct, I was.
Okay, where were you? Show me where you were.
I was right here. I was loading a fridge into my home. I had my dog right here in the middle of the driveway, chained to the fence. Okay. She came from across the crosswalk here, because I have a witness as well to show. She came from the crosswalk with her dog in front of her. She came across right into my driveway. The dog went into my driveway, and my dog went up to her, and they began to fight.
You're going like this.
Yes.
You're going like this. I don't want you to go like this.
Okay.
So your dog was on a chain.
Yes, ma'am.
A chain that extended almost to the end of your driveway.
Correct.
So show me exactly with your finger.
Okay, yes.
Where you say this confrontation between the pit bull and the schnauzer took place.
Right here, ma'am.
Well, you're pointing to about a foot. Well, now you keep moving your finger.
Right here.
You know that I don't believe that your dog hasn't been out and about in the neighborhood. Unleashed.
No, ma'am. I don't let my dog off a leash.
We do have pictures of the dog as well, if you'd like to see those.
Oh, do you?
We
Yes.
You mean out and about?
Yes.
I'd like to see that.
Audrey Stevens claims her neighbor, Heather Stevens, owes for vet bills after her dog was injured by Heather's pit bull.
Now you're moving your finger. So you're saying it's right at the end of your driveway?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second. It was up further 5 seconds ago.
Okay,
Now
my
you
dog was right here,
yeah,
ma'am.
Yeah.
The fight occurred right here.
Well, now your finger is at a different place, madam. I'm
Well-
just letting you know your finger moves up the driveway.
Right, I'd say right here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You know that I don't believe that.
I know you don't believe that.
You
100% what happened.
know that I don't believe that your dog hasn't been out and about in the neighborhood. Do you know that I don't believe that? I don't think she's lying to me that your dog's been out and about in the neighborhood. Unleashed.
No, ma'am. I don't let my dog off a leash.
We do have pictures of the dog as well, if you'd like to see those.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
You mean out and about?
Yes.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
And this is after.
Shh, shh.
Sorry.
I don't care before or after.
Yeah.
She just said, I don't let my dog go out without a leash.
Well, this is the injury.
Ms. Stevens, these pictures belie the fact that your dog is out, leashed only. Do you want to see the photograph?
Yes, ma'am, please. Yes, Your Honor, I do see that, but I was outside with my dog at that time.
I don't care whether you were outside with your dog or not. You said your dog is never out without a leash. That's not true. That's not true. Were you a witness to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Be very careful. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me your name.
My name is Karen Brennan.
Are you a neighbor?
No, I am a friend
A friend of whose?
of Heather Stevens.
Go ahead.
Well, on that day,
On what day?
on July 26th, I was helping Heather with the fridge.
With what?
With the refrigerator. And I was approaching the driveway,
Just a second. You were helping her with the refrigerator doing what?
bringing the dolly out so it can be moved
Bringing the dolly out from where?
from the side of the house.
And?
And I looked over and I saw the little dog and it caught
You
my
saw
eye.
what?
The little dog. And it caught my eye because every time before, and you know, anytime I put the dog out, Miss Stevens' dog, that little dog, if it was in the backyard, would continually bark it.
Just a second. Did you put the dog out that day?
No, I did not that day. But I recognized
So
the
you
dog.
did not put the dog out
No,
that day?
not that day.
Okay. What time did you get to Miss Stevens' house?
Mid-afternoon.
What's her dog's name?
Lily,
Was Lily chained to the fence all afternoon?
when we were...
Was Lily chained to the fence all afternoon? That's either a yes or a no when you were there. That's either a yes or a no. Was Lily chained to the fence all afternoon when you were there? You said you got there mid-afternoon. This happened at 8 o'clock. Was the dog chained to the fence all the time you were there? Yes or a no? Or I don't know. No.
No.
Where was the dog?
In the backyard.
Until what time?
Until around 7-ish or so. I don't know the exact time, but it was mid-evening.
Okay. And what happened at that time when the dog was moved from the backyard outside of the backyard? Who moved the dog?
We went to go get the refrigerator.
No. Who moved the dog?
Heather did.
She took the dog from the backyard.
Yes.
Just a second. To the backyard to the driveway. Just to the driveway, because that's where she pointed out that the dog was chained to the driveway fence.
Yes. When we came back from we went to go get the refrigerator.
Just a minute. Well, you didn't tell me, so you left the house.
Yes.
What time did you leave the house?
Mid-afternoon. It was like
What time?
approximately 4 or 5
Okay. And the dog at that time was where?
with us in the vehicle.
So you had the dog in the car. So the dog was in the backyard.
Yes.
And then from the backyard, the dog went with you in the car.
Correct.
And then what?
And then we picked up the refrigerator. And we came back, and then she had chained her.
Okay. So from the car, the dog went to the fence, which is chained sort of midway up the fence, according to the defendant. Sort of midway up the driveway.
Correct.
Is where she chained the dog.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Then where did you go?
And then I went to go get the dolly and bring it around so we could get the fridge
Okay.
out.
And where did Miss Stevens stay?
She was in the driveway.
And it was when you were coming out of the backyard that you saw Miss Stevens in the driveway?
Yes.
And saw the little dog?
Yes.
She was in the driveway. Was she next to the dog? Go over there and point out where she was. Was you in the driveway?
She was
She, Miss Stevens,
that Miss Stevens, yes.
your friend?
Yes.
Was right in the middle of the driveway, near where the dog was chained?
Yes.
And show me where the defendant's house is, because you had been in the house earlier that day. Point on that diagram where the house is.
Right here.
Where it says defendant.
Yes.
That's the whole house. And where's the front door?
Right here.
Up there. And where's the porch on the front door?
Right there.
Okay. Now that's not where she was. She was in the driveway.
Correct.
Okay, now go back. Now I'm going to read to you what your friend Miss Stevens wrote and swore to in her answer. I was standing on the porch, maneuvering the fridge inside, and I saw a little dog sniffing around and walking up my driveway. She said she was on the porch.
Well, she was back.
That's where she said she was, on the porch. I know the plaintiff's dog is a barker, since it has come to the backside of my property and barked at my dog through the fence. The dog walked all the way up the driveway to where my dog was. Now, you want to think back? Miss Stevens says she was standing on the porch. You were very certain she was standing mid-driveway right near her dog. Which one is it?
Well, we were trying to maneuver the fridge. So
No.
we were back and forth.
Which one is it? Was she on the porch, which is all the way at the other end?
Yes.
Or was she mid-driveway?
Mid-driveway.
She was mid-driveway. So Miss Stevens lied when she said she was on the porch. I didn't look at a police report. I listened
It's
to
all
your.
one
I
side.
listened to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I listened to your witness.
Yes.
And you and the witness that you brought told two divergent stories, two totally different stories. She was your witness.
Audrey Stevens is accusing her neighbor, Heather Stevens, of losing control of her pit bull. Heather claims Audrey's dog ran onto her property.
So Miss Stevens lied when she said she was on the porch. That's what she says in her answer. I was on the porch when this happened. You understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
Sit. Can I see your vet bills, please?
Your Honor, I have a video of my dog. Can we present the video that I have brought?
You mean for that day?
Yes, ma'am.
For that-
No, not for that day. No, not for that day, but just to show you that my dog is not vicious.
Oh, but-
And she likes to play with little dogs.
Clearly not on this day. She didn't like to play with other dogs.
That dog is constantly barking at my dog in the backyard, and that's the only. My dog loves dogs. I have obedient records.
Miss Stevens,
Yes.
I want you to understand something.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether the schnauzer is a barker or not a barker, I told you, I didn't believe you when you told me that her dog was off leash. I didn't believe that. Either you or your witness lied. I don't know which one. So I'm going to have to assume it was your witness. Do you want me to assume it was your witness or you? So one of you lied. She says you were in a totally different place. She was coming out from the backyard. That's where she was. She had gone to get the dolly. You said you were maneuvering the refrigerator up on the porch.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, who is telling me the truth? You want to tell me?
It was a very hectic day.
It was a very hectic day.
Yeah.
And I have photographs of your dog, despite the fact that you tell me that your dog is never off leash, always on leash. I have 3 photographs taken 3 different times of your dog being off leash. Now, there's no question that your dog caused the injuries to the dog.
This has been going on for over a year in court. They dismissed it in criminal court, and there's a reason why they dismissed it.
Just a second.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
going to try to tell me why they dismissed the case in criminal court? You have a document? I mean, I understand that they filed a criminal case against you.
There was a criminal case that was dismissed, Your Honor.
That's okay. That has nothing to do with this civil proceeding. You know, somebody may not want to put you in jail because you let your pit bull roam around without a leash. Somebody may not want to put you in jail, but you are clearly responsible for this dog's injuries. You are. If you have a pit bull, and pit bulls can be dangerous dogs, they can turn on a dime and cause serious injury. Pit bull lovers, I don't want to hear from you. I've been going through it for 25 years. Some of them are nice. Some of them are not nice. But when they're not nice and they turn, they have configurations that can cause a great deal of injury. One killed a woman who was babysitting for it.
I understand
You-
Honor.
do you- so you do
I
understand.
I
You
believe,
do-
I believe, may I say something? I believe that a dog is how it was raised, okay? I've raised that dog from a baby. She's never been mean like that. That dog that lives next door, which is Miss Stevens' dog, yaps at my dog every single day. She goes outside, yaps, 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 yaps at her.
So what you're telling me is your dog, so if what you're telling me is that your dog had the right to be aggravated because the dog yaps at her all the time, that's not a reason to let any dog, but especially a dog that has potential to cause injury, out without a leash. And you do that regularly, and you can't do that.
Your Honor, can I also add that I did have a brief interaction with Miss Stevens on the day that it occurred, and it seemed like she did come out of the street with the dog. I don't believe she was in the driveway. She offered help for me.
She did.
Yes, before I went home.
And
Where was
not to
she?
interrupt, but we also have video of her acknowledging fault with the officer's body cam video.
What is that?
They have a body cam on when he was talking to her when she said she's really sorry and she's going to pay the vet bill.
Oh, may I see that, please?
For a walk, we were moving in a fridge.
Oh, okay.
And she jumped out of the car when she seen that little dog because I was getting ready to get in the car and
Gotcha.
right on the corner here.
Okay. So were they just across the street then?
No, they were right here.
They were just right here on the sidewalk. Okay.
I'm going to pay the bill, I know, and whatever I got to do.
Yeah, so she's down at the clinic now
It was a bite on the shoulder, I think.
on the shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was just protecting me. 'Cause
Sure.
That's all. And I'll pay the bill.
That you're responsible
And I want
for,
to
so-
apologize.
Sure.
That's so bad. I do feel bad about it. I do love dog. I'm a dog lover. And I do feel bad. And I believe she just said, the defendant just said that she was in the street when that happened. It was in my driveway that happened, Your Honor. I'm just saying, we want to be honest.
Was your dog on a chain?
My dog was on a chain, Your Honor. Another thing, I never got my side of the story added to that at all. It was all one-sided. The whole police report was one-sided, Your Honor.
I didn't look at a police report,
I have
madam.
one right here.
Just a second. I didn't look at a police report. I listened
It's
to
all
your.
one-sided.
I listened to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I listened to your witness.
Yes.
And you and the witness that you brought told 2 divergent stories, 2 totally different stories. She was your witness.
Yes.
Easily confused, but she was your witness, and you should have prepared her better, consistent with what your answer was. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. I wasn't trying to.
Very, very good. Okay. Pain and suffering, unfortunately, is not yours. If you had had injury to yourself, and I think that the law is a little crazy there, but we can't gauge pain and suffering for an animal. Anyway, your vet bills were $435.
Your Honor, we just added that just because, you know,
I understand.
blatant disregard and the dog's still out all
Oh,
the time.
no, excuse me. The total with tax was $441. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It's been a struggle just because of how long it's been going on.
It was a crazy day.
The dog almost got to our dog's leg bone and broke it.
Because the dog is always japping at my dog.
It was pretty scary.
So it surprised me that that happened.
He was bleeding and everything.
She's not vicious whatsoever.
We ran him up to the hospital.
The animal control never get in my house.
I had a feeling that Judy would see right through her, so.
I love dogs, and I felt sorry for the little dog.
I'm happy about the settlement and how we got our money.
I'm not even going to get on my soapbox with regard to dogs that are potentially dangerous. There's no question that this lady has a dog that she's had from a puppy, and the dog has never caused her any difficulty. But there's also no question that she lets that dog out without a leash.
I mean, they had proof of different occasions of the dog out and about.
After this
after
happened.
this incident.
After this
So
incident.
you can, I think that's also a great lesson that you can feel bad and be an animal lover and want to take care of the bill. But if you don't take any subsequent remedial measures to fix your bad behavior that caused this great deal of injury, then I don't really believe you that you feel sorry or that you're a dog lover. Because,
Well, that's an interesting perspective.
yeah, I mean, you knew what you had to do to ensure the safety of the dogs and other people in your neighborhood, and you chose not to do that. So
After it had already
Yeah.
had an incident.
exactly.
Albert Lee is suing pilot instructor Ed Meyer for damage resulting from Ed moving his plane.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2145, Lee versus Meyer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lee, you are an amateur pilot,
Yes, I was yes.
and you owned your own plane.
I bought it to train in, yes.
When did you purchase the plane?
In, I believe, April of 2021.
Did you buy it new or used?
I bought it used.
What kind of plane is it?
It's a Cirrus SR-22, 2010 type Golf.
What did you pay for it?
I paid $420,000 for it, I believe.
Is there a mortgage on the...
Yes, there is.
How much?
It's $2204 per month.
You paid $425,000 for the plane.
Yeah, I put a down payment on it. The outstanding balance is $347,000. The payment per month is $2,000.
I don't need the payment per month. I just wanted to know what you paid for it and how much you put into the plane.
Yes.
The defendant is a pilot, licensed pilot, and he was giving you some training on the plane.
Certified flight instructor, yes.
It is your claim that at some point, and you'll tell me when, that the defendant was operating the plane by himself. You weren't there, and he was moving it from one part of the FBO to another part, and he hit a cone and caused substantial damage to the propeller and the engine. And while you had your insurance did cover some of it, according to you, it did not cover all of the expenses, and you want Mr. Meyer to be responsible for that. So it's a simple question. Mr. Meyer, do you remember the date that you were operating the plane when Mr. Lee was not there?
Yes.
What date?
It was in April sometime.
April of 2022?
Correct.
Do you remember the date, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
What date?
It's April 22nd.
Would that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And from what I read in the papers, Mr. Meyer had in fact taken you out, but then the weather got bad. You decided that you would make your way home and that he would get the plane home when the weather was better.
Correct.
And that was on or about April 22nd.
I flew home on a commercial flight the day before on April 21st.
And you stayed with the plane.
Yes.
Now, would you agree, Mr. Meyer, that if in fact you hit an object with the plane, it would be your responsibility?
Yes.
Because it would mean that there was some sort of negligence involved.
Right.
And then that would be the issue of damages. Mr. Lee, you were not present when this incident happened.
I was not.
Not present.
I was not present. I was able.
No, you were not present.
I was not present.
That's the answer. Was this witness present?
He was not present, but he was the one responsible for procuring the evidence on what happened and how the propeller was damaged.
Who does he work for?
He has his own flight school, and he also manages my airplane in terms of the maintenance and the upkeep.
Okay. Could you step up, please? Tell me your last name.
Last name is Williams.
Mr. Williams, were you charged with gathering the evidence to determine what happened to the plane on the 22nd of April?
Yes, I was.
And you're paid a monthly fee by the plaintiff to manage his plane.
That's correct.
Did you retain the defendant as an instructor, or did Mr. Lee?
That was both decided by Mr. Lee and Mr. Myers to fly for him.
But you
He's
did
an
not.
independent contractor at that.
You did not have anything to do with, as the manager of the plane, you didn't have anything to do with selecting Mr. Meyer.
I did select Mr. Meyer to fly with Albert.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Because were you the one who introduced him
That's
to Mr.
correct.
Meyer?
That's correct.
When, Mr. Lee, did you start to work with Mr. Meyer?
It was probably a prior flight where we flew to San Francisco for a business meeting I had. After that, I believe it was
In what month?
Roughly about the same month.
In April?
Yeah, in
so
April,
you didn't
maybe.
know him for a long time?
No, not very long.
I'm going to get back to you in a minute, Mr. Williams. Prior to the defendant, had anybody else been an instructor for you?
Yes, Clinton was my primary instructor, but I flew with some other instructors as well.
But it wasn't until the month that this incident occurred that you had been connected with the defendant?
Correct.
Okay. Now, sir, how were you advised that the plane that you managed was in an accident?
I received a phone call from Ed saying that there was a problem.
From whom?
From Mr. Myers, that there was a problem with the aircraft after he taxied and did the run-up and returned the aircraft back to Signature in Las Vegas. We notified and contacted a...
Did you ask, what you would usually ask is what happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Just a second, and what did he say to you?
He said that he was having instrument problems with the aircraft and he wasn't able to take off, so he returned the aircraft. At that point in time, I contacted the Service Center, had 2 technicians go out and look at the aircraft, see what was wrong. At the time, the technicians found that they...
Don't tell me what they found.
Okay.
You can't tell me what they found. It's hearsay.
They sent me pictures of the damage of the propeller.
May I see the photographs? Okay, so that's a fresh damage.
Correct.
Can I scroll this?
Yes, you may.
Or it's just one? Okay, so you have a picture of that. You have a picture of the cone that has a slice in it.
Correct, that's the object he hit. We also have a video showing the plane taxiing hitting the cone at the...
I'd like to see that as well.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what we got.
As you can see where the...
Just one second. Mr. Meyer, is that a fair and accurate representation of where the plane was before you moved it?
It should be on the last, on the far left side of that Learjet.
Okay. Oh. Mr. Meyer, do you see that you went over a cone?
It's interesting. I didn't even notice there was a cone.
You may not notice it, but you see it now.
Yes.
Okay. Your hitting of the cone caused damage to that plane. I mean, you're not talking about flying a 747. You're talking about a little single-prop plane. Yeah, they're like those planes you put together, used to put together with rubber bands. I wouldn't put my behind in one of those planes for all the money in the world.
Albert Lee claims pilot instructor Ed Meyer is responsible for damage after Ed moved Albert's plane.
Okay.
In all my years of flying, which is pretty significant, I was an airline pilot too, I've never, ever experienced that in my life.
Okay, but you see it now.
Yes.
It's not an on purpose. It's, you know, that's why they call them accidents. We don't mean for them to happen.
Right.
We don't mean for them to happen, but you do see that the plane did hit a cone.
Right.
Okay, and I have photographs of the cone that has a slice in it, and the same kind of slice from one of the propellers. Now, so that's conceded that Mr. Meyer did, in fact, hit the cone, which in all probability caused damage to the plane, caused damage to the propeller. Now, tell me about your insurance.
The insurance covered the propeller. They covered the teardown of the engine. When something strikes the propeller, they have to tear apart the engine, make sure the
Do
components...
you have those,
I
that
do.
paperwork for me? I'd like to see it.
Okay, so here is the insurance covered portion, and here is my covered portion that I had to come out of pocket to pick up the plane.
Okay.
I can explain both invoices. And if you flip to the last page, that'll have the total. Insurance covered about 60-something thousand for the propeller and the engine teardown.
Okay, so the damaged propeller, Mr. Williams, causes you to have to take apart the engine, fix the engine if there was damage to the engine. Am I correct?
That's correct. The FAA requires, anytime you strike an object with a propeller, the engine has to be inspected in the component parts. So they...
Component parts of the engine?
Yeah, with the damage, potential damage of the engine. Internal damage that could be caused by striking an object.
Okay, the insurance covered how much, sir? Mr. Lee?
It's, sorry, it's on the invoice 60, I think it was 63,000, 64,000. It's on the last page.
The last page shows
Shows a deposit of $40.
$63,000.
Yes, that's it.
The deposit was 40, balance due was 23. Did the insurance company pay the entire 63?
This entire $63,000.
$63,000. This was what was submitted to them.
Yes.
Okay, now I'd like you to take a look at this, Mr. Meyer. No, I'm going to actually ask Mr. Williams to take a look at this document. These are the items, Mr. Williams, that Mr. Lee says were uncovered. I would like you to go through all those items and tell me which of those items relate to the engine and which do not.
Okay, is this the total?
Carefully, because I'm going to potentially ask you about each individual thing, because there looks to me like some things that bear no relation to an engine.
Okay, so most of the items that you see that are airworthiness on the airframe are the items that need to be inspected and or replaced from the teardown. So your item 1, item 2, 3, 4, item 5, 6, 7, 8. These are all items that the repair shop goes through the engine and assesses whether it needs...
Well, tell me how the brakes would be impacted.
I don't think
impacted by hitting
Which one would-
and I don't know, but how brakes would be impacted by hitting a nose cone.
Brake lining, I don't know what that is.
Okay. Yeah, some of these items, Your Honor, such as one of these items, the brake lines, as you pointed out, is probably not part of the.
Well, that's what I want you to go through, sir. Do
Okay.
you understand? I want you to take a marker, a pen, and circle, because I don't know a whole lot about
Okay.
airplanes, but I know a little bit about airplanes. I know what's routine maintenance and what has to be taken care of, because a plane either falls on its nose or falls on its tail, both of which I've experienced.
Well, this is a small invoice. This is not your. This is.
Mr. Williams, don't ask him. I didn't ask you to have a conference with him.
Okay.
I asked
No,
you to look at that. You're the management company. I want you to strike those items that are not related to this accident and go through them very carefully, because
Can I make a
no,
comment? Okay.
nope,
To you directly.
nope.
Okay.
Can I ask you something?
Can you ask me something?
Yeah. Well, they should tell you those cones are made of plastic.
I don't care. They're heavy cones. You hit the cone. And the plane flew perfectly fine before you hit the cone. It didn't run after you hit the cone. You don't have to be a genius to figure out the cone caused, your hitting of the cone caused damage to that plane. I mean, you're not talking about flying a 747. You're talking about a little this is a single prop plane.
Right.
Yeah. They're like those planes you put together, we used to put together with rubber bands. I wouldn't put my behind in one of those planes for all the money in the world.
The only items I can see, Your Honor, are two items that may not be related to the accident, items 7 and 8.
Okay. May I have that back, please, sir? And you are familiar with planes, sir. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is item
The circled item.
7 and 8.
Correct.
So we have
There's a couple of
we have right and left main gear, but this is 143 plus 270 plus 66. What about item 9? Pitch, trim, jab, nut, loose. What is that?
Probably what they do during the inspection and the tear down, they go through the aircraft itself, make sure it's airworthy. So they probably caught another item or two. You can probably put that on item that's wasn't part of the accident.
The big ticket items, adding up all of these items, Mr. Meyer, that probably have no relation to the accident which you caused,
Correct.
still bring the total amount to more than this court's jurisdictional limit. Can you tell me, sir, why your insurance, Mr. Williams, let's go back to you. You manage this plane. Can you tell me why Mr. Lee's insurance didn't cover all the damage to the plane?
A lot of the prospective renters or instructors that everybody uses, or we used in this case, carry their own insurance for this type of incident. Their insurance covers basically downtime, loss of operation, or in this case.
You mean Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Would have his own? Do you have your own insurance?
No.
No. Don't you do a check to find out if they have their own insurance before you recommend someone?
He had insurance, but it was lapsed.
If you have insurance that's lapsed, then you have no insurance.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you're lucky that he's not suing you.
Albert Lee is accusing pilot instructor Ed Meyer of hitting a cone and damaging his plane. Ed says Albert was already paid by his insurance company.
Okay. Mr. Williams, you were the one who recommended
That's
Mr.
correct, we
Meyer.
did.
Don't you do a check to find out if they have their own insurance before you recommend someone?
He had insurance, but it was lapsed. It
Well,
lapsed.
that he didn't have insurance. I get that all the time. If you have insurance that's lapsed, then you have no insurance.
Yeah. As a flight school, our instructors are required to carry the insurance.
Okay, but that
And then
didn't happen here.
That's correct.
So you're lucky that he's not suing you because you managed the plane for him. And you recommended him, Mr. Williams. You know, when you have a management company that manages your plane, they're supposed to make certain that if you have a certain kind of plane, that you have pilots certified to fly those kinds of planes. And if they give me a list of pilots and those pilots aren't certified to fly the kind of plane that I might have, then it's the fault of the management company.
In this case here, the plaintiff and the defendant were working together as far as their payment and the fees they were going to charge.
That's okay. They may have been working head to head. I mean, it was Mr. Meyer's fault, but I'm just telling you that Mr. Lee relies on your advice. What business are you in, Mr. Lee?
I do commercial real estate. I sell shopping centers and office buildings.
Okay, that's not his business. That's why he hires you. And if he hires you, he asks you for recommendations as to where to get the plane repaired for an instructor. Now, the fact that he may pay him independently, he's relied on you for information. So I suggest, Mr. Williams, that you tighten up your ship a little bit. Mr. Meyer, you're responsible to the plaintiff for the damage that you caused his plane. Why did you let your insurance lapse?
It had lapsed. I just didn't even realize the fact that it had lapsed. I just realized the fact that when this came about, that's what happened.
Well, when was the last time you paid premiums?
Probably about a year before that.
Anything else you want to tell me, Mr. Meyer? You owe him $10,000. You caused the damage. You have to fix it. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I understand her point, the fact that what she saw.
I thought she's very fair.
These cones are made out of plastic.
It's hard to believe. It sounds like a gunshot and you hit the cone, and triggered several warnings. And for him to say he had no idea, it's a little bit hard to believe.
They don't have much weight to them.
With the loud bang after you hit it, it's quite obvious that you should have stopped and shut down and inspect the damage.
There normally is never a cone at the 12 o'clock position. They're at the left side and the right side.
They place cones all the way around the aircraft, and it's part of your responsibility as a pilot in command to do a walk around pre-flight, make sure there's no object in front of your aircraft.
When I taxied out halfway down, that's when I recognized there was an ICAS message that came on.
I finally got it back, and no more student pilots won't let any CFIs fly for a while.
You know what I thought about in this case, Sarah? That lay people have to look at something, lay people, and while I'm a judge and have certain expertise, I have no expertise in reading slips that show what's been done on a car or an airplane or a train or a boat.
But we have common sense.
But we have common sense. And your brakes are not part of an engine. You know, you have an engine job, and then you have a brake job, and you have a...
I saw where you were going.
different kind. And, you know, if you have an accident that impacts on the right driver's door, if you put in a new wheel casing in the left rear door, well, that has nothing to do with an accident.
Probably just an oversight. He did state that those two items were not part of, you know,
He did.
He did at the end. But it just feels a little uneasy when they try and slip those things in there, that just common sense doesn't ring true, that it comes from the stands.
You know, front, back, you know, the head of a horse, the tail of a horse, it doesn't fit in. And there's really no difference between not having insurance when you're driving a car and not having insurance as a flight instructor. Yeah, that's pretty serious.
I would think there would be a more rigorous check on that before you get behind an aircraft, the wheel of an aircraft.
Absolutely. You would think that there would be. Yeah. There's a flaw in the system someplace. Okay, I'm glad nobody was hurt.
Is suing Joseph Simonet for car damage after Joseph's 15-year-old son hit Carrie's vehicle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Good morning.
Case 2138, Cargill versus Simonet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Cargill, you and the defendant's son had an accident while you were driving your car, and Mr. Simonet's son was driving his electric scooter.
It was like a skateboard, a one-wheel skateboard.
Tell me your name.
Jacob Simonet.
Describe this vehicle that you were riding on.
It's got two spaces for your feet. Has one in the back, one in the front.
No, try to look at me. I'm trying to see you.
There's one in the
Go
back,
like this.
one in the front, and there's a big wheel in the center. And you put your feet on either side, and then it balances, and you ride it kind of like a skateboard.
Oh, I actually
had a
have
feeling you
picture
might
of
need it.
myself riding on one of those for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We bought it for one of my grandchildren years ago, but it's motorized.
Yes.
It has a motor.
It's electric.
And how fast does it go?
Tops out at about 17 miles an hour.
17.
Yes.
That's pretty fast. Are you required to drive that on the street where pedestrians walk or where cars ride?
On the sidewalk with pedestrians.
Sidewalk.
Yes.
Do you drive it on the sidewalk?
Yes, I do.
Do you ever drive it in the street?
I do not.
Now you're going to tell me what happened on the date of this incident, which was August 17th.
This year, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was going south after work, and I was going to crossing through the intersection. I had the green light.
Is there a chart?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I was crossing the intersection.
You're the blue car.
I'm the blue car. And I had the green, it was going, and Jacob had cut through on the red into the green and slammed into the side of my car. He had cut through the intersection.
So he was in the street where the cars travel?
Yes.
Not on the sidewalk?
Right. He was not in the walkway.
Okay. Jacob, I want you to walk up to that sign and show me where you were when you and the plaintiff collided.
I was about right here.
You were in a crosswalk?
Yeah, I was in the crosswalk coming through about
Okay,
right.
is that what, Jacob, is that what the police report is going to indicate? That you were in the crosswalk?
I don't know.
Well, I assume that there is a police report. Is that correct? Police report's going to tell me where the debris was, I assume. The debris is either going to be in a crosswalk or it's going to be in the street. Where do you think it's going to be?
Some of it was in the street.
Show me the street that you're talking about.
About like right
No,
here.
put your finger on it. Don't go around where it's
About right here.
right there. That would be in the middle, right? That would be in the middle of the street where the cars travel, not in the crosswalk.
Yeah.
Yes. It's easy.
Sure.
How old is he?
15.
15. I've had a whole bunch of those who are 15. You know when they're telling a fib?
How?
When their mouths are moving.
He's a pretty good kid.
Yeah, all of my kids are pretty good kids. But you can always
Figure it
tell.
out, huh?
Yeah, you can usually tell. Is this your first only?
Both, first and only.
First and only. Oh, well, she probably had some experience with that anyway.
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay, and this happened at what time during the day?
I believe it was about 4, a little after 4, 4:30.
So it was light out.
Yes.
You collided with her car on the driver's side.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, on the door of the driver's side.
The fender.
Fender.
Yes.
Side fender.
Yes, side fender.
Okay, not the front of the car.
The front fender of the car.
Front fender of the car on the side. I'm talking about it was the side or the front?
The side.
Side. So you collided with her because cars don't move sideways.
Yes.
He could have been quite seriously injured.
Yes, he could. He hit the side of the car and he flew up onto the hood. and then kind of rolled across the hood, hit my windshield, and then fell onto the ground. And when I stopped, he jumped up, appeared at my window, and apologized, and then asked me if I was okay.
What did he say?
Just said he was sorry. And then he asked me if I was okay, and then I asked him if he was okay, and then he asked me if I was okay, and it went back.
So far, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And which I was very impressed by, that he was more worried about me than anything else. I moved my car out of the road, onto the side of the road. There was an EMT that was across the street from us, and he came over and assessed him if there was any more damage. He got some road rash and things like that, but he was not seriously hurt, at least that we noticed at the time.
Do you have the police report?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please, Kevin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
One witness said that he was right next to you and that you went past him and that the light was red. His light was red, which is why he was stopped. That's what I'm reading. He did say that his light was red when the kid initially passed in front of him. Did you get a copy of this police report?
I've seen it, yes.
Explain to me, would you put on this again and leave that one on because that's the version that I believe. Would you walk over there and explain to me what cut the corner was, what you were doing? It talks about cutting the corners. So I want you to understand, I believe that, based upon what I'm reading here, I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I want you to show me how you cut the corner.
So I was coming to this one, and I went through, and instead of going here and just going through the sidewalk, I just went like around here and through this crosswalk.
What's cut the corner?
Cut the corner here, right there.
You mean just that little space is what you're talking about? You cut the corner?
Yeah, I went from about...
I want you to understand, I believe that you were in the street. I believe you were in the street, not in a crosswalk. So let's run through that again. Would you please show me what cut the corner was?
Went through here, I came here, and I cut here. So right there, I cut the corner.
He is a nice boy, Mr. Simonette.
Thank you.
You know what my father told me when he gave me my first car? I think I was 17. It was like a tank. He said, because if you get in an accident, I want you to be surrounded by 4,000 pounds of steel.
And later today,
Your claim is that you won a whole bunch of money in some gambling thing. I just want you to tell me how much you won.
Before taxes or after?
Both.
Carrie Cargill claims Joseph Simonette owes for damage after his 15-year-old son hit Carrie's car while riding an electric skateboard.
Okay. The police determined that based upon the eyewitness testimony that the pedestrian, Jacob, is at fault and believed to have crossed the intersection before having the right of way. The vehicle had the green light. In any event, do you have photographs of your car? This happened in August, and you were called to the scene by your son, is that right?
Correct.
And you got there, you know that he was a little banged up, but thankfully...
He was in an ambulance when I arrived, but shortly after, yes, he did walk out of the ambulance and suffered some injuries, which I have pictures of if you'd like to see them.
I'm sure he was banged up. He had bruises from falling off the...
From being launched from the vehicle after the collision, correct.
Okay. You know, he was really lucky that she wasn't going faster.
Correct. Could have been much worse. We were
Could have been much
thankful
worse.
for his health and the outcome of the incident.
You're right. Okay, can I see an estimate to fix your car, please? Thank you. What kind of a car do you have?
A 2015 Equinox Chevy?
You had full coverage on the car, is that right?
Yes.
But with a $1,000 deductible?
Yes.
So if you put this through to your insurance, you have a $1,000 deductible?
Yes.
Right? Anything else you want to tell me, Jacob?
No.
Do you still ride one of those things?
It's broken. I didn't get a new one, no.
It was destroyed in the accident.
You know what my father told me when he gave me my first car? I think I was 17. He bought me the oldest, ugliest car, but it was like a tank. All my other friends were getting these nice, cute little cars, and this one was like an old person's tank Cadillac or something. You know, we're talking 50 years ago. And I said, why do I have to have this car? Everybody else has cute cars. He said, because if you get in an accident, I want you to be surrounded by 4,000 pounds of steel. That's pretty much the lesson that I've sent out there. 4,000 pounds of steel. One and only, surrounded by lots of steel. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you, we're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Overall, I'm happy.
She had some fault due to hitting a pedestrian in a crosswalk.
It was surreal, like out of the movies.
Your heart stops, and all you can do is look for the car keys and panic and get there as fast as you can.
I am so glad that he was okay.
I remember just flying through the air, and then I was on the ground, and I got right up.
Be very careful.
Count your blessings and enjoy every moment that you have, because things could change in an instant.
I know these electric scooters and skateboards are very popular, but even before this case, I tried to look up any rules, laws, regulations. There are a few for electric motorbikes and things like that, but far fewer than I would expect for a machine that can go up to 17 miles an hour when you're 15.
I think that you're right. I think that since those things have become so popular, they really have to be enforced rules. And parents, and this is a very nice father and son, but I've seen kids weave in and out of cars. It always looked like an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah. And this one could have ended in a real tragedy.
He was lucky, and his father knew he was lucky.
Yeah.
Case 2124, McPherson versus Hall. All parties, please step forward.
Gerald McPherson is suing his ex-girlfriend, Natasha Hall, for money she received during their relationship.
Mr. McPherson,
Yes.
how old are you, sir?
40.
What kind of work do you do?
Home care aid?
Independent or do you work for a company?
Home care aid agency.
For an agency?
Yes.
How long have you been working for them?
About a year now, but I've been doing home care for about 3 years.
Prior to working for them the past year, and you're still working for them, is that right? Was there a period of time when you were unemployed?
Not more than maybe 3 weeks, but since I know Ms. Hall...
No, I don't want to know about Ms. Hall.
No, I'm telling you my employments that since I lived in her residence, I've always worked. I worked at the zoo, Census Bureau.
Don't try to think ahead of me.
Okay.
There was a period of time in 2020, according to you, that you became homeless and were living in a shelter.
Yeah,
and that was in what month in 2020?
In June. So if I can explain the situation. I was living in a house that a slumlord wasn't doing the repairs. So I ended up forcing his hand, him selling the property, and the new landlord and my...
Could you look at me when you're talking?
I'm sorry. The new landlord and my other ex, they kept the property. I moved out. I went to a shelter because I didn't want nothing to do with her or the...
You're talking about her?
No, ma'am.
Well, then don't keep pointing to her. I'm asking you...
I'm just pointing in general. I'm not pointing at her.
You actually pointed
to
her. When you were in the shelter, were you employed?
Yes, for the Census Bureau, going the census. I was actually out in the field knocking on doors. I was an enumerator.
So you were not working in home health care, you were a census taker?
At that time, yes.
And did you have a child living with you?
Yes, well, not in the shelter, no. I could not have my daughter in the shelter.
How old is your daughter?
10.
And where is her mother?
She's deceased.
Where was your daughter living when you were in the shelter?
With my mother.
Is she living with you now?
She's been with me since June.
In a new apartment?
Yes, I moved in August 1st.
She goes to school from your apartment?
Yes.
Okay. In 2020, you became acquainted with Miss Hall, and there came a time shortly thereafter, uncross your arms, and there came a point shortly thereafter when you moved into her home.
In August, yes.
Of 2020. And you remained in her home until what month and year?
August of 2022.
And in what month and year did you regain custody of your daughter?
June of 2022.
So there was a period of 2 months when you and your daughter lived in Miss Hall's home.
You could say that, but...
Well, I'm saying that because I just asked you a question about timeline.
No, because me and Ms. Hall was going through our dispute about this money, my daughter was staying with my grandma. I only brought my daughter there on certain occasions.
When I say you regained custody of your daughter, was that a court order?
Yes, I have it right here.
Just a second. Was the child removed by court order from your custody?
It was removed because the house...
Don't tell me because.
Yes,
it was yes.
Yes.
I have lots of things to do today.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Child was removed from your custody.
Because I didn't have nowhere to live at the time.
Was the child removed from your custody before you moved into the shelter?
She was removed because I was in the shelter.
Did you take her to the shelter?
No, I was not allowed to because there's no men.
So at that time,
female
did you go and live with your mother?
Of course.
Was that by court order?
No, it was I
brought her to your mother.
Yes.
May I see the court order that involves custody, please? I'm not getting an answer.
This is the court order, and this is these two forms. Now, that court order is the current.
Shh. Okay, so the child was placed with the Commissioner of Social Services in Pennsylvania. And the child was placed in kinship foster care, which is a program that I am very familiar with the child's paternal grandmothers. So in June of this year, the child was returned to your custody. At some point in August of this year is when you and the defendants separated and you left the house. This is your claim. Your claim is that you won a whole bunch of money in some gambling thing. What kind of gambling thing? I don't want to go back to the year, Gimmel, sir. All I want you to do is tell me how much rent you were paying her.
To be honest, I don't
know. I want you to be dishonest with me.
Gerald McPherson claims his ex-girlfriend, Natasha Hall, wrongfully spent the money he gave her for rent.
Your claim is that you won a whole bunch of money in some gambling thing. What kind of gambling thing? I want you to look at me when you talk, not at the papers.
No, I was going to...
In what kind of gambling thing did you win money?
I betted on 25 games.
What 25 games?
NBA, college, hockey.
Okay, and you bet where?
On FanDuel. It's an app called FanDuel.
Okay, and you won?
Yes.
I don't understand the whole thing. I don't want to learn the whole thing. I don't care about the whole thing. I just want you to tell me how much you won.
Before taxes or after?
Both.
Okay, $36,742, and after taxes, $26,889.
On what date?
So I won the bet on the 28th. It came into my account.
28th of what?
January.
Of what year?
This year.
And you had been living with Miss Hall for 2 years?
Prior, yes.
Okay, and you were working according to you all of that time?
Yes.
Okay, good. Were you paying any rent to Miss Hall?
I have receipts.
Yes, I want to see those. How much rent were you paying?
So when I met Miss Hall...
I don't want to go back to the year, Gimmel, sir. All I want you to do is tell me how much rent you were paying her.
To be honest, I had to pay
I don't know. I want you to be dishonest with me.
Half her rent is like $425, and she had me pay half the gas and half the electric and half the cable.
Her rent was $425?
No, it's $850. I had to split it. We're paying half and half.
Miss Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I do customer service.
And who else lives in the apartment with you?
My children.
How old are they?
14 and 13.
How large is the apartment?
It's a 2-bedroom.
And the total rent is $850?
Yes, ma'am.
There's no subsidy at all?
No subsidy at all.
Okay. And you have a lease?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you charge, if anything, Mr. McPherson as rent?
$425.
Well, that doesn't quite sound fair, does it? Did she make a figure with you of $425?
I paid more than that. I paid $425. That's half of the rent. I paid half of the electric and half of the internet bill.
There are 4 people in the house,
Yes.
right? Why is he paying for?
only
Shh.
2 people.
Why was he paying for half the rent?
Oh, my children don't work, and his child didn't work either.
His child wasn't with you.
The child came with us in June, but she had visitations on weekends.
I don't care if she has visitation. Your children live with you.
Yes.
They don't have to work. They're your children. They're not his responsibility. Okay. I just want to know where everybody's head is at. There came a point, Miss Hall, when Mr. McPherson gave you $6,000 in cash.
No, not in cash.
Check.
No. Both of them were wired. One was directly wired into our Bank of America account.
When? Just a second. When?
The first transaction was on January 31st. The second transaction.
January 31st of?
This year. And the second transaction was the next day, February 1st. $12,000 total.
Do you acknowledge, Miss Hall, receiving $12,000 in your account from Mr. McPherson, or do I have to look at his records?
I do not acknowledge. He gave me $6,000 and $4,500.
$6,000 and $4,500, Mr. McPherson. Does that sound right?
No, it's not right, and I'm going to show you.
Let me see your bank record.
All right, hey,
And
sir.
Let us assume that it's $6,000 and $4,500 that he gave you in this year, 2022.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Let us assume for the moment that you're correct, because you're suing for $6,000.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, because the first initial $6,000 was 8 months rent. That I'm not.
Let
suing
us
for.
assume that you are correct, that he gave you $6,000 and $4,500. I'm taking you at face value. In January and February of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the money for?
That he gave me?
Yes.
I'm gonna watch you. I don't care now. I'm gonna fall on me. I don't want you to love me
Parked in my yard.
Where's the title to it?
I have it.
I'd like to see it. And you repossessed the car just a few months ago, is that right?
No, ma'am. June 4th. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay.
Great. Where's the back of this title?
I just sent it as evidence. I don't have the title with me, but that's the title. It's in my name.
Have her sign this. You're signing over the title to the car for her. Sign it over. I'll notify. Sign it over to her. We're going to give you the $100 that she owes you. Sign it over to her. You do understand, Miss Flowers, you came here to court today from where?
Jacksonville, Florida.
And you want to get home, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've got an appearance fee for coming here?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. All that's being withheld until you sign the title over to her. Do you understand?
Okay.
Great. Okay. So now you're going to have 5 days to get your car.
Your Honor.
And I'm awarding her on her counterclaim. You got your property back. I'm awarding her on her counterclaim. So far, $100, because that's what you owed her on the car. And it was done a few weeks ago. The car is there. Within 5 days, with a marshal, go and pick up your car. Do you understand? Okay. Within 5 days of today's date, she's coming to pick up the car with a marshal. Don't do anything to the car, because you're not getting any cash until she has the car.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Perfect.
We was at the park first, which I can pull up the video and show you we was at the park first. I did not hit her first. She walked up to me, because in the video, you're going to hear my friend saying, friend, turn around, turn around. She hit me.
May I see your video
Yes,
where
ma'am.
she hit you first? Let's get to your counterclaim. I've already given you the remainder owed on the car, which is $100. But now your counterclaim is about an assault. Tell me when this assault took place.
It took place on June 3rd.
And what date did you retrieve the car, just from my memory?
It was June 4th. Well, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so it was right after this fight.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't you tell me what happened?
Me and her, after, we got into the little argument about the car, I blocked her on everything and I just told her what she owed me. So she proceeds to threaten me, saying she would be at my house in my car, her and her cousin. So me and my
Can I see what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she tell this to you on the phone or in text?
In text, miss.
I'd like to see the text.
I have a voice recording of her saying it.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see that. Even better. Though I'm deaf, it's even better. Now, was this argument, by the way, while you're looking for it, this argument was about the balance due on the car?
Yes, ma'am. It was something before that, but then it led to the car. I guess it's the service in here. It's having trouble.
You don't have service?
If you don't have service on the phone so I can hear it, I'll look at the text.
Okay. Right here. Okay, yeah, this.
Thank you. Okay, so before I read these, I gather from the plaintiff there was an incident that preceded June 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And tell me on what date that incident was.
Okay, June 3rd, we got into this.
Well, I know what happened on June 3rd, but that was about the car.
Oh, no, ma'am. It was earlier that day that we was talking about whatever happened.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell me about that?
Okay, so it was something going around on social media about people being behind a fake page or whatever. So I was exposed on a fake page. She was exposed
on a fake
Snapchat or something. It was something like people saying bad stuff about people on the Snapchat. So
you understand that?
No.
Okay, so it was someone
I thought it was a younger thing, and I just didn't understand it. So that's
okay. Someone
explain it to him.
Okay, someone made Snapchat, right? Okay, someone made a Snapchat that nobody knows like who it belongs to. They posted pictures of me on there saying bad stuff about me. They posted something about her also and about my baby's father and other people. So Honesty texts one of the girls that they thought it was behind it and told them that it was me. By me and her still being friends, I was lost. Like, why would you text someone that's not even friends with you saying that it was me? So she said, and I have it in the text message, in the evidence, she says that, and if I did say that, y'all shouldn't be behind fake pages anyways. Y'all too grown for that. Keep me out of that. So I said, to solve all that, just pay me the money you owe me. To make it fair, just pay the money you owe me for the car, and I sign over the title, and we have nothing else to talk about. Then I blocked her. So then she gets on Instagram and texts me and made a voice message about, oh, I don't owe you such and such. I'll be at your house when I get off in your car or whatever to fight. So me and my friends was at this park called Lonnie C. And Honesty came out there and went live, was on Facebook Live, and I have the video, and was saying all kind of stuff on the live about me towards me. And that's when she came up to fight me, like at the park.
Your Honor, that is not true.
Yes.
Okay.
I have the evidence.
Yes. Rumors were being spread, but
on the internet.
On the internet. No one knows the source of the rumors. And then there were some allegations that maybe it was the defendant who was the source of the rumors. Right. Says not true, escalated, and then started live streaming a fight.
Right. She gets.
Okay. You have the live stream?
Okay.
Okay. So we just hit the play.
Yeah. Before.
Oh my God. Lie, you a lying. I got all the messages, and don't play with me about no $700 because bitch, I will be at your house when I get off work. Hold on, play with me. I don't owe you no $700, and you know I know. You better find somebody to play with, bitch.
Works and plays well with others. Isn't that a check-off sign someplace? Okay, tell me what happened when you met with each other.
I was at the park already, me and my friends, the witness.
What were you doing at a park? How old are you?
I'm 21.
What do you do for a living?
I'm in nursing school.
How old are your children?
8 months and 2 years old.
Who do you live with?
It's me and my boyfriend. We got a house.
Boyfriend, the father of these two children?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were at the park with your friend with your children?
Oh, no, ma'am. It's just me, my friend, and my other friends. They always have stuff at the park, so.
Where were your children?
Well, one was in South Carolina, and the other one was with her grandmother.
Which one was in South Carolina?
My 2-year-old.
Who was in South Carolina?
I'm from South Carolina, so my family is there.
Who was the baby with?
Oh, her godmother.
Why?
Because we just sent her down there occasionally to be with her godparents.
Okay. So you were at the park. You went to the park.
No, ma'am, that is not true. I was with my friends and my cousin, and they had a graduation party. My friends was there. We went there after work. We was at the park first, which I can pull up the video and show you was at the park first. They came to the park afterwards. I did not hit her first. She walked up to me because in the video, you're going to hear my friend saying, friend, turn around, turn around. She hit me, and I don't understand how it's assault because as they're breaking up the fight, none of the people I was with.
May I see your video where she hit you first?
You're taking the car back.
She's going to show me a video. Miss Flowers.
Yes, ma'am.
And her video, according to her, let me just get this straight, is going to show you hitting her first.
No, ma'am, it's not.
It's not. I'm sorry. It's not going to show her hitting me first, but it's going to show me walking, and my friend is going to be saying, turn around, turn around. When I turned around and basically I dropped my phone, she hit me, and that's when we went to fight.
But that's not going to be on the video.
You're kind of going to see it a little bit.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
A little bit is better than nothing, usually. You have also things that you want me to see on your phone?
Yes.
Would you get them up, please, so I...
Oh, it's okay.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I can.
Thank you.
I have the fight right here. This sound is right there. I already turned it on. Then you have to play. It's the play button.
Okay, while she's looking for us, I'm going to take a look at this. Who's the one on the ground?
I'm on the bottom. She's on top of me.
It's terrible. I don't understand it when women fight. It's just so... I mean, I can't understand when men fight either, but you sort of expect it of them. But I'd never understand how women can do physical contact with other women in anger. Can't understand it, not in anger either. All right, let me see what she's got. It looked to me like there were times in that video when she was on top and times when you were on top.
I never got on top. She kicked me in the face and all while I was down. I never got on top.
Were you wearing the red pants?
Pajamas, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you were wearing the red pants. Right. I'll take a look at your pictures. It seemed as if somebody else who was in that mob, and it was very hard to tell, was kicking somebody.
Your Honor, that was me. I kicked her. We were fighting, and her witness is she jumped in the fight and she actually hit me in the head.
Love a person who tells the truth all the time. Right. Thank you. Now, okay. Ladies shouldn't fight. You shouldn't be in the same place together if you're not getting along together. You don't go to the park together. But this was a fight. Look to me from that video is that you were both willing participants in that altercation. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim, with the exception of the $100 that she owes you for the balance of the car. So in this case, the car is transferred permanently to the plaintiff with her payment of $100. Your counterclaim for assault is dismissed. You have 2 children. Do you have kids?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, don't fight. It's not ladylike. All right, we're done. We're done. Court is adjourned.
It was not a bad car. It is now because I don't know what she did to it, but it's not a bad car. But I'm just glad she got it back out my hands.
I took good care of the vehicle. I got it fixed multiple times. Spent almost $2,700 into getting the car fixed.
It's just messed up, like drivable and everything.
She told me that she reported it stolen since it was in her name, but she actually kept a spare key, and she came into my yard at like 3 a.m. I believe she said, and she just drove off with it while I was asleep.
I guess because she's immature, and some people just do immature things.
We're no longer friends.
I think what we saw in there was 2 women square up, get into a fight. Obviously, no one wants to see it, a terrible result, but you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and the court is not going to step in and figure out what happened here.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. People generally shouldn't fight. I always find it unnerving when I see women who are supposed to be triple process thinkers, all women, but especially somebody with 2 young kids. Take yourself out of harm's way. Don't put yourself in harm's way. But if you do, don't ask. You're right. Don't ask the courts for your help.
Absolutely.
They made a complaint to the police that you had threatened them with a gun.
Correct.
And you didn't see a firearm.
He was telling me to get off of his property, screaming accusations. I turned and ran.
He didn't have a firearm.
Everything they've said is lies.
You consciously lied to the police. And it could... Okay, so you walked over to the plaintiff's son's house and told him you had received an anonymous call that somebody was selling marijuana out of his house.
No, that someone was reporting that he was selling marijuana out of his
Who
business.
was selling?
Donald John Sullivan.
I understand that marijuana was being sold out of his son's house.
Yes.
Okay, and then what happened?
We talked it over. After we talked it over, I returned back home. There was no issue at that point.
You didn't go over there because there was an issue. I gather you went over there because you were his friend and you wanted to alert him.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you went home. Come on, let me hear.
And then from there, I had gone back inside and leashed up my dog and then noticed I was out of cigarettes. So I had called him and was like, hey, do you have any cigarettes?
What do you mean you called who?
Donald John Sullivan, the
So now you telephoned him?
Yes.
After having gone over there to have a discussion about the call?
Yes.
You telephoned him, you said, I'm out of cigarettes. So now this is 11, 12 o'clock.
Correct, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
From there, I went back over to retrieve a cigarette for myself, and this is where the incident occurred. There was
Well, tell me what happened.
After he had given me a cigarette, I went to return. Mr. Sullivan was at the corner of the house.
Show me where.
So at the corner of the house here is where Mr. Sullivan was postponed because I feel he knew the position.
No, don't tell me what you feel. I don't care what you feel. You were between your house, right at the edge of where the plaintiff's son lives, and your house. So you went there to get a regular cigarette.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. And is marijuana legal in your state, by the way?
No.
No. You went there to get a cigarette at midnight, and you claim that the plaintiff came out.
Yes, Your Honor.
of his house, and what happened?
I think you might have messed up the timeline there. The plaintiff didn't come out of his house. The plaintiff was already over here.
When you came to get the cigarette, the plaintiff was there already?
Yes.
Okay, so you called, and the plaintiff was already there. You said you're coming for a cigarette.
Yes, Your Honor.
Beginning to think that somebody is peeing on my leg. Go ahead.
And then...
And this is at midnight?
Yes, Your Honor.
Keep going.
Then from there, whenever I saw him, he immediately saw me, started screaming accusations.
Just a second. Come and step back here now for a moment. I want you to tell me what Mr. Sullivan said to you.
He was telling me to get off of his property and get out of his house.
Okay. And what did you say to him?
I did not say anything back. I turned and ran.
Okay, and?
From there, I ran through our houses to the road there.
Now you can go back.
So I ran from here.
Yes.
Up through the middle of our house and our garage here, down the neighbor's driveway.
Why'd you just go home?
I didn't feel like I would be safe at home.
Why?
I don't own any firearms or anything to protect.
He didn't have a firearm.
I know, that's where the police messed up with
Just a second. Police didn't mess up. I want to know, you're running, but you ran past your house because you said you didn't have any firearms in your house. He didn't have a firearm, and you didn't see a firearm.
No, Your Honor.
So why would you worry about having a firearm in your house? How old are you?
32.
How old is he?
74.
Yeah. You understand I'm not buying your story.
Okay.
You do understand that I'm not buying your story. Back. Do you have a copy of the police report?
Yes,
Police
I
were
do.
called. The defendant, Mr. Callahan, acknowledges that he called the police. Mr. Crowcroft, you did not call the police.
No, I wasn't awake. I wasn't awake.
You did not call the police. Well, that's what this case is all about. Did you speak to the police? No. Well, Mr. Callahan, this is very clear in this police report. Actually, couldn't be clearer. The police were dispatched. It was not a mistake, as you allege, that the police didn't mistake anything. They were dispatched over a call that said that Mr. Sullivan pointed an AR-15 type rifle at him while speaking to the plaintiff's son. That's what it said in the police report. Now, I've read your answer to this, sir, and your answer suggests that the police got it wrong.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what the answer says. However, the police did an investigation, and I'm going to read to you what they say, sum and substance. Callahan, that would be you, admitted that he made up the incident because he feared for his roommate. I told Callahan that he was pathetic. Callahan stated he might as well blow his brains out and stated that it would do me a favor. Callahan was arrested, that would be you, for obstruction. The officers had conducted a follow-up because they were shown film footage, which evidently was from a Ring camera that the plaintiff's son has, showing the entire incident, which clearly suggested that there was no AR-15, there was no gun pointed at all. And when you were confronted with that footage, you said, all right, I made up the incident. That's what you said. This wasn't a question of the police getting the report wrong. You acknowledge you made up the incident. Okay. Mr. Sullivan, why are you suing Mr. Crowcroft?
For several things. For one, he cost me loss of income because I had a young lady that was going to rent my house for $50.
Where is she?
She couldn't get off work.
Not interested in it.
I do have a certified statement.
I don't read certified statements, sir. Why are you suing him? We have the guy who made the false police report. He acknowledged it to the police that he made a false report. Why Mr. Crowcroft?
Well, because he was in on it. I mean, so far, everything they've said is lies. As far as the people that lived there, there's 4 people that were living there.
Okay, right now, all I have here is what you allege is a false arrest.
False arrest.
Your humiliation about that, and you are absolutely right, and you are entitled to be compensated for that.
And if you look on that police report, it was 7 days later that I found out. Other than that, I had to live with the fear that I was going to be arrested. I was ordered out of my house.
Just a second. I get it all. And I think that that's horrible. And he's going to pay for that. I'm trying to get to Mr. Crowcroft, why he's a defendant.
They also filed a false restraining order.
Who did?
Mr. Crowcroft and William. Both.
Just a second. Forget about Callahan. He's already guilty. I don't see what the basis was for your protective order.
Because Donald followed me around. He was harassing me. He knows I'm bipolar, and he knows that that kind of interaction is very hard for me.
If you have issues and they're exacerbated by the plaintiff, move. Now, your agreement with her is that she could use the car.
Correct.
Did you have an accident with the car? Don't look up at the sky. Look right here.
Yes.
I assume that your girlfriend did not like the... Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3025, Ruiz Thompson versus Schulte.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Ruiz, this is your boyfriend.
Correct.
How long have you been together with him?
It's been on and off for about...
Like 2.5 years, Your Honor.
And you have a child together?
We do.
How old is that child?
He turned 1 in January.
Do you live together?
We do.
For 2.5 years?
Most of the 2.5 years, correct.
When it wasn't the most, were you living with Miss Schulte?
No.
When were you with Miss Schulte?
3.5 years ago, at least.
When you were with Miss Schulte, were you living with her?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have any children together?
1.
How old?
He will be 4 in August.
Do you see him?
Every week, or every other week.
That going okay?
Yep.
Yep, it's not an answer.
Sorry, yes,
it's an
Your
answer. Very good. Okay, now, when you were with her 3.5 years ago, you had a car.
Yes.
And that car was a 2016 Jeep Renegade.
Correct, Your Honor.
In whose name was that car?
The vehicle is in mine and Kendall's name.
When was it put in your name and Kendall's name?
At the time of purchase, it was...
2021.
Yes, it was...
Can I have it, please? Thank you. Okay, so it was purchased by the two of you April 6, 2021.
Correct, Your Honor.
And at that time, you two were together.
Yes, Your Honor.
But then there came a time when you had a breakup.
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
It was around December of 2021.
And where did you go?
I went back to move in with my parents.
Did you take the Jeep with you?
I did.
Did you have another car, Miss Ruiz?
I actually drove the Jeep for a while until...
Oh, he said he took the car and went back to his parents. That was in December of 2021. What I'm asking you is, in December of 2021, did you have another car?
I got a new vehicle, yes.
In December of 2021, when he left. So it was agreed between the two of you that he would take the car, even though it was in both your names?
Yes.
Okay. Who was making payments on the car?
I was, Your Honor.
So that was the agreement. He would take the car, he would make the payments, you would get another car.
Yes.
Great. And then you moved back with your parents. Now tell me how Miss Schulte, with whom you have a child, got possession of the Jeep.
So at the time, I was not able to afford the vehicle.
Okay, so you took it, but you had payments. What were the monthly payments?
I believe they were $367.
So how did it come into Miss Schulte's possession?
I did not need the vehicle as I had another car at the time, and she was in need of a new vehicle. So I offered her the deal that if she were able to put the vehicle in her name and keep insurance on it, that she was able to have the vehicle, but she did not follow any of the rules for the
Well,
agreement.
she can't register the car in her name, sir, because there's a loan out on the car.
Right. But
and they're not going to allow somebody off the hook. That would be the two of you who are on that loan.
Right.
Right? They're not going to allow the two of you off the hook and just have her on the hook. The loan, as between the loan company and the two of you, she's nobody.
Right.
So she can't register the car in her name unless she pays it off.
That was the idea behind the agreement, Your Honor.
Well, I don't know what the idea was. You mean the idea was that she make the monthly payments?
Yeah, she was to continue making the monthly payment.
That's okay. She can make the monthly payment. She still can't register it in her name as the owner because there's a lien on the car by the people who gave you the money to buy it.
Correct.
So she can't register because there's a lien on it, on your title. Do you have your title?
I do.
And I want you just to look at your title and tell me what it says under lien holder.
It says the bank that has the title to the vehicle.
Right. And they actually hold the title. She can't register it in her name. So in effect, what you said to her was you can use the car as long as you make the payments.
Correct.
Because I can't make the payments anymore. Okay. And then you went back to Miss Ruiz.
Correct.
Okay. And when did you go back to Miss Ruiz? Month. This was in
January of 2022.
So a month later.
Yes.
Now, your agreement with her is that she could use the car.
Correct.
She has used this car as long as she made the payments.
And had insurance on the vehicle.
Okay. Did she make the payment in January?
Late.
Did she make the payment in January?
She did.
What about February?
She did.
What about March?
I do not believe so.
What happened in April? Did you ask for the Jeep back?
I was asking for the vehicle back shortly after giving it to her because she wasn't holding up her end of the agreement. She was not making the payments on time and she did not have insurance on the vehicle.
She made the payments. She made January, February, and March.
Late,
now,
which affected my credit.
Well, that's too bad. Okay. Did she make the payment in January?
She did.
What about February?
She did.
What about March?
I do not believe so.
How long did you have the car?
Until April.
Did you make March's payment?
I did.
Do you have proof of that?
Well, I have 3 payments, so January, February, March.
Yes. The answer. I don't have to see them. I believe she has them. So she paid January, February, March. What happened in April?
She was not making the payments. There was still...
She made January, February, March. Now we're in April.
Yes, she did not make the payment. We did not get the Jeep back until May 3rd.
Just a second. What happened in April? Did you ask for the Jeep back?
I was asking for the vehicle back shortly after giving it to her because she wasn't holding up her end of the agreement.
What was her end of the agreement? I just told you she couldn't register it in her name because she doesn't have title. Neither do you.
I understand that.
Right.
The agreement was that she was supposed to continue to make the monthly payments and she was supposed to put insurance on the vehicle. She was not making the payments on time and she did not have insurance on the vehicle.
No, but she made the payments. She made January, February, and March.
Late,
now,
which affected my credit.
Well, that's too bad. That wasn't your agreement. Your agreement was that she was to make payments. There was nothing you agreed that she had to make the payments on time. I assume that your girlfriend, Miss Ruiz, did not like the fact that your old girlfriend had the car. that was titled partially in her name? I want you to answer that question, sir. It's a very easy question. You don't have to be a soothsayer, and you don't have to have an advanced degree in psychology to know that your current girlfriend and the mother of your child, of your new baby, doesn't like the fact that you gave a car that's in her name to your old girlfriend with who you have a child. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out, right?
You're right.
Right. So old girlfriend didn't like the agreement, but you had made an agreement with her. Now, did you have insurance on the car, and was that part of your agreement? Don't look up at the sky. Look right here.
It was, yes.
Yes. Did you have insurance on the car?
Insurance was on it for a little bit, but then I was trying to find a new insurance company.
So the answer is no.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then he had every right, despite the fact that you made the payments, to get the car back, because if something happened to that car and you were driving it and it didn't have insurance because you were trying to find different insurance, because actually you have no liability on this thing. If you have an accident, they're going to go after the owners of the car if you have nothing. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. That was your deal, and you breached the deal. So now he asked for the car back because you didn't have insurance on it. You may have made the payments, but you didn't have insurance on it. And you asked for the car back in April.
I asked for the car back numerous times.
I don't care whether you asked for the car back numerous times. You had no right to ask for it back until you knew she had no insurance. The reason you asked for it back is because Miss Ruiz didn't like the fact that Miss Schulte had a car.
That is not correct, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I did not have a problem with her having the vehicle because I didn't want to have it anymore. I got my own vehicle. I was not upset at the fact that she had it. They do have a child together, and I do know that she needs a vehicle to get their child around.
Are you telling me, Miss Ruiz, that it didn't bother you that your name was on the title, and therefore you were responsible for that car, and that car was being driven by Miss Schulte?
Correct.
Right. Well, just a second. If the car was just in his name, he can give it to whoever he likes. But it had your name on it.
Yes.
That's psychology 101. She had the car. You have a certain responsibility. You work.
I'm actually a 24-hour caregiver for our son. He has a disability.
Okay. So your lawsuit is when you got the car back, it was damaged.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you have an accident with the car?
Yes.
When?
April 25th.
Did you fix the car?
I was going to. I was having somebody.
The question is, did you fix the car?
No, I didn't.
And at that time, you had no insurance on it because your insurance had lapsed.
Yeah.
Do you have a photograph of the car?
I have the police report.
I'd like to see and the photograph of the car. I'll look at the police report. And
there's
just show it
attached to
Does the yellow form show the mileage? They bought it 2021.
I think so. Yeah, take a look. So ultimately, you were told that they were going to report the vehicle stolen unless you returned it. That's what the police report says.
He told me after.
Just a second. Well, you told the police the accident happened in May, on May 3rd. Schulte, police then asked you about the accident. She said she was involved in. Schulte said it occurred earlier that day on 5/3/2022 near 1500 block of Grenada North. We asked if you contacted the police. She said she did. Schulte said she struck another woman's vehicle and they both pulled over. Police officer indicates I felt Schulte was being deceptive when I asked her if she called the police about the accident. I don't think there's any other police report. Did you file a police report about this accident on May 3rd?
I'm guessing.
Is not an answer.
I'm guessing that is the day that they called the cops to get the actual vehicle after the accident.
I asked Schulte about the accident she said she was involved in. Schulte said it occurred earlier that day on 5/3. That's what the police report says. You know, there's a saying, if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. You were involved in an accident. The damage was to the front end of the car. You hit another woman's car. Is that right? That's what you told the police. That's what you told the police. Whatever it is, you're responsible for the damage. She's responsible for the damage. Oh, yeah. It's mostly to the bumper, right?
There was a lot of underlying damage making the vehicle undrivable. There was damage to the transmission and some problems with the oil after.
That's all right. I'm going to take a look at the estimate. I'm going to take a look at the estimate, then I'm going to ask you a question. Mr. Thompson. Take a look and see what the
car?
Yeah.
I'm using an 80,000 mile valuation. I don't know how many miles were on it. It wasn't on the form, but it's 10 to 12,000 for trade-in value based on the 80,000 mile valuation on it in good condition.
Now, you signed an agreement with your lender that until this car is paid off, that you would maintain insurance on it.
Correct.
Did you?
I did not. I took insurance.
Really belonged to them until it was paid off.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
Yes.
And you did not.
Correct.
When was the last time you made a payment on the car?
The 21st of last month.
The car has been with you since when?
May 3rd of 22.
So a year.
Correct.
And is what you're telling me that you're current in your payments, but you can't drive the car?
Correct, Your Honor.
Where is it currently located?
At my parents' house. It is sitting in the driveway at my parents'.
Mr. Thompson, is what you're telling me that you relied on her statement that she had insurance on this car, which is why you dropped the insurance?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and you know that you're not allowed to do that?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So to fix your car is going to cost you, according to this estimate, $6,000.
Correct, Your Honor.
How much do you think of that as your responsibility?
Realistically, none of it.
No, legally. How much? If you stopped making payments on the car a year ago, who do you think the bank would come after?
They would come after me.
Because she had nothing to do with the bank.
Correct.
because their contract was with you. They say to you, we're giving you this money. In return for that, you have to keep this vehicle insured so that we're guaranteed to get our money back, right? And you failed to do that.
Yes.
You can't do that. That's going to cost you $3,000 because you have a responsibility. It's going to cost you $3,000 because you breached your agreement with him. He breached his agreement with the bank. You breached your agreement with him. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your responsibility was to maintain insurance on the car pursuant to your agreement, and he had a written contract with the bank to maintain insurance. Did you ever ask her, by the way, to show you proof of insurance?
I did on a few occasions, yes. And she would tell me that there is insurance on the car, but not actually show me anything proving that there was insurance on the vehicle.
Mm-hmm. And you asked her for proof of insurance.
And I asked
Just a second. And you asked her for proof of insurance, and she wouldn't show it to you.
Correct.
Often.
Yes.
And you didn't take the car back then.
I tried numerous times. She refused to give it to me.
Oh, yeah, I don't believe that. $3,000 judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished here.
This court is adjourned.
I don't think that I should have paid anything at all.
I think it was not correct.
I guess lesson learned from not trying to help people out, right?
It's a little upsetting. I think she's definitely 100% in the wrong. She lied to us numerous times.
Honestly, it was just like a moment where people stop and you just get so busy looking around and you have an accident.
She crashed our vehicle. It's inoperable, and she told us multiple times she would pay and fix the damage.
And now here we are responsible for having to pay for it.
No, it was totally fine after I had gotten to the accident, so I'm not really sure where that information's coming from.
It is not drivable. It hasn't been driven over a year.
Guess what can you do, right?
Because she refused to give it back.
He actually didn't tell me anything about that until after he filed a police report.
One of the text messages, she said, I can't give it back.
So I know nothing about like him wanting the vehicle back until after that conversation.
It's upsetting how it turned out.
I'm never going to help him out ever again.
Worried about my own self.
You know, this isn't the first of these kind of things that we've had. The story may be different, but the people have to take away that if you have a contract with a bank, with a landlord, with a mortgage company, the mortgage company is not going to accept the fact, well, I found Joe Schmo to take over my payments, so I'm absolved of that responsibility. As between you and the company, you have a responsibility. I think it's actually very interesting, and I'm not so sure true, if they've been making the payments on this car and it's been undrivable for almost a year, or actually for a year. It's absolutely the wrong thing to do to turn a vehicle that you have a responsibility for contractually, because there's a loan, to anybody else. And if you do so, and you know, because she had to maintain insurance and put it in her name, well, you can't put it in your name because the bank owns that car.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy with the mortgage company as well. You know, you sublease a room to a friend and you make your own agreement with them, but the background check, the credit check that the company, the mortgage, or the lessee are going to use doesn't apply to that third party that you deem acceptable. So yeah, I agree that.
So you'll always be responsible for the rent unless the landlord decides to allow you to sublet without permission.
That's their agreement with
That's
the third
their
party,
agreement,
not
right?
yours.
This was not the bank's agreement with the defendant. The defendant assaulted you.
She just
claims her cousin, Anita Lewis, owes for hotel costs, phone bills, and an assault during a trip to Dubai. Anita is countersuing Lisa for filing a false police report.
Other than your cousin's testimony, is there any police report or anything else?
Well, I did. The police was called. I have paper from. This is from recovery when I called the hotel.
Okay, this is from the hotel. It says, allow me to inform you that I witnessed the incident, was the one who called the police as per your request. Well, he didn't. This person did not witness the incident.
No, he did not.
Okay.
I just called the police.
Okay, well, so that the police were called.
Yes.
Okay, and you have no photographs or anything else of this scratch on your face?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
When you did not go back to the room that she was in, you were given another room?
Yes.
With whom?
By myself.
Were you charged for that room?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see. Did you sleep in your room alone the remainder of the trip?
I did.
Did you pay for it?
I did.
How much did you pay for your room?
I'm not sure about the total room charges. I just paid the total $4,900 for the trip, and the hotel was included.
Okay. Reimbursement of hotel room charges and phone bills, money owed for an assault. Okay. Now, I want you to clearly tell me about the assault.
I was sitting on the bed in a robe. I came upstairs to relax, and I sat on the edge of the bed. And when she came in real angry and just out of nowhere. And I thought I was dreaming or something. And she just lunged at me and scratched my face, and I just grabbed her arms and threw her on the bed.
So would you say, Miss Proctor, that the most horrendous thing that happened on this trip, not your phone bills, not anything else, was that you were scratched in the face?
Not only that, I felt threatened by her. I didn't want to stay in a room with her.
No, I understand that. What I don't understand is if you were going to pursue an action against her, and you had your cousin there, you had other women there, you have your phone, it would seem to me that you would take a picture of your face to demonstrate to whomever that you had an injury.
That was true. That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, and one of the girls suggested I do it, and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's problematic. I need some proof from you, and this doesn't do it for me. Let us assume that I believe that the defendant was drunk and belligerent, and in the course of being drunk and belligerent there was something over a phone, who had her phone. That's what the papers say, correct?
Yes.
And in the course of this kerfuffle, you got hurt. Did you seek medical treatment for this scratch?
No, I did not.
Did you and Miss Lewis proceed on the trip together other than staying together in the same room? Did you travel together for the remainder of your 5 days in Dubai?
She was on excursion.
That's what I'm asking you.
But I stayed away from her.
Stand up, please. Tell me your name.
Claudette Walls.
Do you remember the first night that you were in Dubai?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what happened.
Okay, so after we were coming back from off of the cruise ship, I witnessed the same similar situation with Michelle, how she was dancing and how she was in a lot of men's faces, just being belligerent, and she was drunk. I told her, she needs to calm down, just cool it. So coming back, when we got back to the hotel, my cousin Lisa went her separate way. I'm not sure where Michelle went. I went to my room with my roommate. I took a shower. While I was in the shower, my cousin Lisa had called, so I missed that call. Then I came out. Michelle had called me.
That's Michelle?
Yes, had called me to tell me that she was upset and to tell me that Lisa is going to file charges against her.
Tell me exactly what she said to you.
She said, Claudette, Lisa's going to get me arrested. So I didn't know what she was talking about. She was all over the place. I said, get you arrested for what? I don't know, but you need to come down here because I don't know what's going on. She's going to get me arrested. I said, Michelle, I don't know what's going on. So in turn, I hung up from her because I had to get dressed because Lisa had called me back and she told me she was at the concierge desk. And she was talking to them. I said, okay, I'm on my way down there. When I came out, as I came out the elevator, Miss Lewis had met me. It was telling me that Miss Proctor had took her phone and she was just saying all this stuff like, I know Lisa took my phone. I know she probably threw it in the water and I know she don't like me and blah, blah. I mean, it's just all over the place. And I kept saying, Michelle, do you hear yourself? Why would she invite you on a trip if she don't like you? Do you hear yourself? I said, furthermore, maybe you left your phone. So, of course, that's what the outcome of them. She forgot her phone on a boat. Then I proceeded to go meet my cousin at the concierge desk. The first thing I noticed is she had scratches on her nose leading up under her eye. She had one here and in the middle of her chin.
Did you ask her how she had
Yes, I did. And she told me what happened. She was in her robe. She had undressed with her robe when she had placed an order from Chicken Quesadillas. She was sitting on the edge of the bed. All of a sudden, Michelle came in the room and she just was like belligerent and fussing and everything. And then she just stormed at her and attacked her in her face. And then she told me that, then she started saying all these crazy things about you crazy, you stink, you ugly, and I got better clothes than you and all and just crazy stuff. So then my cousin said, you know what? I'm not going to fight her. Well, she told me she had grabbed her by her wrist and threw her back on the bed. And then from there, she proceeded on packing her clothes. She got dressed and packing everything because she said she was scared and she couldn't stay there in the room with her anymore.
Okay, let's hear your version. Do you remember what happened?
I absolutely do.
It would be a fair statement that you had a sufficient amount of alcohol that night on the boat.
Your Honor, on the boat, I had 2 beers and 1 drink. So when we went on the yacht, I left to go to the bathroom. There was a line. When I came back upstairs, Lisa was telling me, we have to get off the boat. We have to get off the boat right now. So I knew that I had left my sweater and my phone sitting on the little couch. I had my purse on me, so I don't know what she's speaking about the purse.
I don't understand a word you're saying, by the way.
I had my purse on me.
No, I don't understand where we're at. So the plaintiff didn't have your phone?
No.
You left your phone on the boat?
The phone got left on the boat.
You left your phone on the boat?
Yes.
Is countersuing, claiming Lisa filed a false police report.
Okay, you got on the boat, you went to the bathroom.
We were on the boat. We were on the boat for a while.
What time? Okay, so now you're on the boat for a while. How long was the wait? You get on the boat, the boat leaves the dock.
4 hours.
So you had been on the boat for 4 hours. And what you're telling me is in that 4 hours, you had 2 beers and 1 drink.
Yes.
Okay, and then?
I was dancing, so then I went to the bathroom. Okay. When I came back up, Lisa told me that we had to get off the boat.
So you have to leave the boat?
In the van on the way back, they had told me, when Lisa told me, let's get off the boat, I was like, I need to go get my stuff. So, meaning my sweater and my phone. They said that they had my stuff. They had my sweater. So when we got on the van to take us back, I was like, can I get my phone? So they were like, nobody has your phone. Does anybody have your phone? So Claudette tried to call my phone. My phone didn't ring. So I'm assuming like, okay, so.
Can we get back to the hotel, please?
When we get to the hotel, we go to the room and I'm asking Lisa to call, can she call the trip guide so that I can get the information to the pier so I could get my phone. She was the one yelling at me, no, and I couldn't use her phone. So I was standing facing the door. Lisa was standing towards me. Lisa lunged towards me and I had on the same style nails. I held my hand up. I said, don't get up in my face. And at that point, my nail poked her. She started screaming, she's attacking me. I ran out the room, ran down the hallway, and I proceeded to go to the concierge myself to ask him, since I could not use her phone, I was going to ask the concierge to call the travel agent.
Where was your phone?
My phone had got left on the boat.
And you got your phone.
And I got my phone back.
Right. So the plaintiff didn't have your phone. The answer is no.
No.
And the witness didn't have your phone.
No.
You left your phone on the boat.
The phone got left on the boat.
You left your phone on the boat.
Yes.
Have you ever had any arguments or any issues with Claudette?
Never.
Never. Did you know her before the trip?
Yes.
If I were to ask Claudette whether or not she saw any scratch marks on Miss Proctor's face, what do you think she would say?
She's going to...
No, look at me.
Say yes, but I have pictures of her from days after.
1 day, 2 days after this incident? That I'm anxious to see them.
I have the pictures in my phone. Okay, so that was New Year's Eve.
That was New Year's Eve, so this happened on the 28th?
The 29th.
So you're talking about 2 days later?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
And even days after that, I have pictures of her.
Okay. Now, would you please ask the plaintiff to show me in this picture where the scratches are on her face?
You're not going to be able to see in this picture because this was days later and it's foggy. They were light scratches.
So you can't see it?
No.
And you had an opportunity to take
Yes, I
pictures
did, Your
that
Honor.
day so that you would preserve this action in the event that you wanted to sue her for that assault. And you chose not to do that. You had your cell phone?
Yes, I did.
Which has photographic capacity.
Yes.
You did not take a picture of her face.
No, I didn't.
Right. So the only thing that I have is the plaintiff telling me that she was scratched. And the only photograph that I have does not display any scratch on her face. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, that's fair.
Okie dokie. I'm not going to award you any money for that if she scratched your face. Certainly, if I had evidence of that, that I would entertain. I have no evidence of that. And you had the ability to preserve that evidence. You chose not to do it. You could have done it in a mirror. And your witness chose not to do that, to take a photograph of you. Okay. You have a counterclaim.
Yes.
And your counterclaim is for filing a false report.
Yes.
She says you scratched her in the face.
And I didn't scratch her.
Well, I don't know whether you did or you didn't. The fact that the police came and the fact that I have something that there was an incident at the hotel, and I have this from the hotel, I can't find that she did something to you maliciously. That's not harassment and filing a false police report. She says that you attacked her and that you were drunk.
And when they realized that she wasn't telling the truth, that's when they left. If they had thought in Dubai that I had assaulted her, I would have been locked up.
No, that's not what the report says, actually. The report says that they declined to open a case. That doesn't say you didn't do it. Your counterclaim is dismissed. It has no merit whatsoever. The only thing that I have to consider is whether or not these charges for your hotel room were reasonable charges in addition to what you already paid, and whether or not, because of her conduct, you absorbed $2,673 in hotel room over and above, just a second, over and above what you had already paid.
Exactly.
Do you have anything whatsoever, Miss Lewis, to tell me that contradicts that statement? You can sit down. Do you have any proof that she did not pay an additional $2,600?
No, I don't know what she did after.
Very good. Okay. I'm satisfied that there was a kerfuffle, and I'm satisfied that you were drunk, and I'm satisfied that as a result of that, she had to absorb $2,673 for an additional hotel room. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I don't think it's fair.
I want my money back for getting a room, so I'm happy with that.
Their whole story they corroborated was a lie together.
She lied about everything. She lied about attacking me. She lied about the police. And the only reason why I didn't press charges is because I didn't want her locked up in the Dubai. She may have still been there now.
I wish Judge Judy would have understood that they weren't telling the truth.
Some people just can't hold their liquor. Thank you, Judge Judy.
You know what I'm not understanding? I understand girls' trips away. I don't understand taking a 14-hour plane ride one way and drinking to the extent that you're not able to absorb all this wonderful new stuff around you that you will probably never see again. It just sounds ludicrous. I mean, you want to drink? Great.
Stay home.
Stay home, go to a local bar, go away for a weekend, take a half-hour drive. But to travel 28 hours, spend a fortune on plane tickets, stay in a nice hotel, and proceed to get so buzzed that you do things that are probably so out of character for you. It's just, to me, I don't understand.
Especially in a place where you don't know the customs, the rules, the decorum of the place that you're visiting could really land you in some trouble.
Could have landed her in a lot of trouble. She would not have liked the jail in Dubai. Guaranteed. Anyway, I don't understand going to a foreign country that you probably never visit before and not maintaining a level of sobriety so you can enjoy every second.
I agree.
Just seems stupid, and I thought women were smarter.
Have you been cheated? Go to judyjustice.tv.
I want you to understand that I believe that you didn't put in a kennel for the dogs until April of 2023. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Okay. When was the next one?
The next is so many, Your Honor.
Oh, that's okay. I'm telling you, you were still there and you didn't put in a kennel until April of 2023. You were in violation of your lease for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were in violation of your lease for a very long time because I wouldn't like to live next door to you with 2 pit bulls roaming around the backyard.
Right.
Anything else?
Not with the eviction.
Great. So your next cause of action is slander, defamation of character. Tell me what that was.
She made a few Facebook posts using my name.
In what way?
Saying how much I owed in rent, saying that I was unable to pay it. And then there's another one where she said that I tore her house up.
Oh, that's what she's counterclaiming for.
Yeah.
So far, none of that is slanderous. Yeah, she lets her animals tear up the property. Miss Bell?
Yes, ma'am.
She says back here in August of this year, she lies about it, but fails to inform the magistrate landlord she lets her animals tear up the property. But does she want repairs done? No. Why, you say? She engineers lies on Facebook to justify her actions and not giving me access to the property so it can look like I'm not doing the repairs.
What she put on Facebook?
Yeah, I know it's what you put on Facebook. Your case is dismissed. All right, so we're finished with you. Money owed for defamation, property damage. How did she damage your property? That's all I'm interested in.
She lit the self-igniting hot water tank.
Okay, what else?
I had the attorney's fees from her.
What attorney's fees?
The attorney's fees about this case. They were $875.
For what? For what case are you talking about?
I'm talking about the small claims court case. And we also talked about tenants issues. We talked about, what I would be liable for. She filed an answer.
Very, very nice. It's all very, very nice. You're living someplace else now?
Yes, ma'am.
You have another tenant in the house?
No, ma'am. She hasn't released tenancy from the property, which is why I have to keep putting notices on the door. So I can stay legal.
Stop for a second. What do you mean she hasn't released?
She hasn't given me the keys back to the property. She hasn't told me that she was moving from the property. My attorney called and, made contact to ask, and had me ask her, and she hasn't moved anything.
You mean she still has property there?
Oh, yes, ma'am. She still has property there.
What does she have?
She has a bed, a dresser.
Just a second. Do you still have any property that you want in the house?
No, ma'am.
You don't?
No.
When you moved out, did you leave things of yours there?
No.
What about a bed?
No.
A dog?
What?
She left the dog there for 10 days with no heat and said that I exposed the dog to 20-degree weather on Facebook. She said that.
Did you leave a dog there?
No, ma'am.
You took a dog with you?
Yes.
Do you have any proof?
I have both.
Did she have 3 dogs?
I have 2.
No, did she have 3?
She actually had 9. She had 2 dogs. Those dogs had puppies, and she ran a little farm out of my house.
Listen to me. You both submitted yourself to my jurisdiction.
Yes.
Say nothing. She has now gone from the house. I find that she is acknowledged that she is no longer a tenant of yours. Anything in the house that you do not want to keep, that you think was hers, you can dispose of. Sell it, throw it away, change the locks on the door, the tumbler. If she didn't give you the keys back, change the tumbler. I will prepare that order, and I will sign it. And you agree with it, correct?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
She's going to dispose of any property that's there. She's going to change the tumbler this week, because she should do that anyway.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
She don't own the house.
I don't care who owns the house. She was your landlord. That's what she says. So if she wants to do that, she can do that. But you have nothing there that you claim is yours anymore, and you are no longer a tenant in that house.
Correct.
So whoever owns the house can get rid of whatever they want, can change the locks on the doors. Do you understand?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Perfect. We're finished. We'll prepare the order for you. Thank you. Bye.
This court is adjourned.
Overall, I think it was fair.
I like Judge Judy. I think that she is fair, which is why I agreed to come.
It was ongoing harassment, the everyday coming home with a paper posted to the door.
I got a 24-hour notice that I put on the door so I could go in and check the heat, and discovered that she had left the dog there after she had moved, after she had transferred her utilities.
The only dog that was in the house was her.
She left the dog there 10 days.
My daughter was burned by a stove that was on the property, 3rd-degree burns.
I'm sorry your daughter got hurt. If she got hurt, I wasn't there. I think stoves are usually user-friendly.
She said that she's not on the lease, so she wasn't going to replace it.
The stove was her responsibility.
I will never rent from her again, and hopefully anybody that sees it runs.
I'm so elated that she's gone.
I'm just in a better place.
What I would say is, America, don't do drugs.
So I have to tell you one of my pet peeves as both somebody on the bench, but more than that, just a citizen. There is a swath of people who are Americans who live in this country that need assistance, who work, some can't work, but who work and can't quite make it. I can't tell you how it bothers me when somebody has 3 employed adults in their house and applies for and accepted for government-assisted housing. She knew she wasn't entitled to it. You could tell from her look that she knew she wasn't entitled to it. And it's just too bad that the government is so inept that it can't ferret out those people who need and those people who want. Well, there's a big difference. Need and want are 2 different things. It just constantly surprises me, the inefficiency of government. And really, the way some people will spend more time scheming to get what they're not entitled to than they will spend moving their lives forward in a positive direction.
It is a very tricky system. You know, I've dabbled in just seeing what the process would be like of applying for any sort of government assistance and just to try and understand litigants a bit better who have gone through it. And it's complicated. It's nuanced and complicated and online, and there are multiple forms, and this one has to go before this one. And I feel like if you're able to complete that, you have a skill that could be used in a productive way to make it so that you don't need to figure out that whole scheme.
That's a good point. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Have you been cheated? Go to Judy Justice.
The two of you are neighbors.
We are.
You filed harassment charges.
He actually screamed outside of my unit, "I hate you." Him constantly talking into my camera or making gestures at the camera.
That's not true.
Spitting, flicking me off.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you?
Good. Case 3082, Auerbach Wu versus Caprion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Auerbach, how long have you lived in your current residence?
I've lived there since 2006, Your Honor.
Do you own it or rent?
I own it.
Would you describe the kind of units it is?
They're condominium units. There's 8 per building.
How many floors?
Pardon?
How many
2 floors. Yeah, 4 on each.
And the two of you are neighbors?
We are.
You live on the same floor?
She lives in a separate building, but we're both on the second floor.
Can you see her apartment from your apartment?
No, I can only see her door when I leave my apartment. I can't see her at all.
How far apart are the buildings?
17 feet.
When did you purchase your condominium?
July of 2019.
So you would live there more than a decade before the defendant moved in?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ever had any difficulty before?
Never.
Okay. It is your claim, Mr. Auerbach, that the defendant, since she moved in, has embarked upon a course of conduct that can only be described, if this is true, serious harassment that has forced you to retain lawyers, that has potentially impacted on your business. You are, I see, a registered pharmacist.
That is correct, Your Honor.
So I'd like you to tell me, sir, when the problem first started with the defendant.
Well, to my knowledge, it started for me May 26, 2022, when a police officer showed up at my house.
Just a second. So the defendant had already been there for 4 years.
Correct.
So people showed up at your door. Who was that?
Officer showed up and was asking me some bizarre questions, strange questions. Are you walking around in the evening? Asked me what my job was, which I thought was strange because I've lived in Fairlawn since 2006. I file a tax return, so he should know that I'm a pharmacist.
Did anything come of that visit?
Well, he said there was some complaints.
You can't tell me what he said because that's hearsay.
Yeah.
But did anything come from that visit?
Just that there was a complaint from the neighborhood. He didn't say neighbors, neighbor. And so I started asking my neighbors if there was a problem. And that's when I discovered that the defendant was...
Again, don't tell me hearsay. Ultimately, you and the defendant, it became an overt hostility. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
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 And since Mr. Auerbach doesn't know the genesis of your problem with him, why don't you tell me, when did you start to have, according to you, a problem with him?
Your Honor, I moved in July of 2019. Between July of 2019 and late 2021, I had noticed behavior. Marijuana was not legal in the state of Ohio. It is now legalized. But he was using marijuana outside on a very, very regular basis. Our condo units are very close in proximity. So he would be smoking outside and they'd be coming into my windows. As a matter of fact, I remember coming home from work one day and my entire unit smelled like marijuana. Not illegal, but like it's a nuisance for me.
In what year was that?
That was through the duration of 2021.
Just a second. That started in 2021.
That's correct.
Okay. But you moved in 2019. So in 2019, you didn't have a problem. In 2020, you didn't have a problem.
I had seen him using during those times. But
well, right now, marijuana use is legal. It's not illegal. Not illegal. And according to you, you could only see him outside.
Right in front of my windows.
It was in front of your windows, which, according to you, impacted inside your apartment on occasion. You smelled it inside your apartment. So what did you do?
So late 2021, I had acquired these issues with Mr. Auerbach.
Now, what issues did you acquire with him? So far, you smelled marijuana. What did you do as a result of seeing Mr. Auerbach smoke marijuana or smell it in your apartment when you came home? What did you do?
Late 2021, I overheard Mr. Auerbach and his former girlfriend arguing very extremely. They had actually left their door wide open, and I heard this woman screaming. And knowing that he had been...
Screaming? Just a second. Screaming what?
Just fighting.
She wasn't screaming, ah! She was screaming at him.
That's correct.
He was screaming at her.
That's correct.
Okay, you didn't hear her screaming. You heard two people having a fight.
I heard her...
You heard two people having a fight.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I called the police.
Okay. Do you recall what it is that you said to the police?
I told the police that there was a disturbing fight happening in front of my unit, and it seemed to be violent, and I was just worried for that girl. And I remember what she was saying, but I don't know if that's appropriate to say here.
after reporting his drug use to the police. I'd like to know what she was saying. I'm not accepting it for the truth of whether or not she actually said it, but I'd like to hear what you tell me you heard or what you tell me you relayed to the police.
Sure. She had said that he was a predator, was her word, and that he had created a fake Facebook profile to hit on her friend, is the words that I heard from his former girlfriend.
So it was a domestic fight. So that's not screaming. According to you, that's factual. She wasn't screaming, get off me, you're hurting me. They were having a fight about a Facebook page he created that she didn't like. So now you interjected yourself by calling the police, and you were frightened for the girl. So far, she sounds as if she can protect herself, based upon what you tell me. So you called the police, and do you remember when that was?
That was October of 2021.
That's not true.
Say nothing. When did the problems start that you refer to in your answer about the parking spaces in front of your condo?
Yeah, so on February 6th of 2022, again, I called the police because of Mr. Auerbach's behavior.
No. You called the police because you heard, saw what?
This was when foreign guests were coming into and out of his home multiple hours throughout the day and the night. I had known that he was a pharmacist just through the talk of the neighborhood. But
well, it's not the talk of the neighborhood unless you're talking or listening. You saw foreign people coming in and out of his apartment, so you called the police.
That's correct.
That was the second call that you made?
That's correct.
Okay. I want you to get to the parking spaces.
Sure.
You don't have assigned spaces in the front of the building, correct?
That's correct.
But in front of your building, there are certain spaces. In front of his building, there are certain spaces, but they're not assigned.
Yes.
According to what I read, he was parking in front of your building.
Once the issues between Mr. Auerbach and myself came up, he started parking all of his vehicles immediately in front of my unit so that when I come home from work, I have nowhere to park. I can choose to park in my garage, but I have no spaces.
When you say the issues arose, he wasn't having any issues with you. At that time, you were having issues with him.
That's correct.
You were having issues with him with smoking marijuana. You were having issues with him with having foreign visitors that you didn't recognize or know. So far, he didn't have any issues with you. Did the police respond on both instances? Do you know?
When I called the police in late October of 2021, I know they came out to just do a basic well check. On February 6, 2022, when I called the police for him acting odd and having the foreign people coming in and out of his unit, he actually screamed at my window, "Clean up your dog. I hate you." And at that moment, it was very early.
Just a second. That was after your second call to the police. What happened next?
I purchased a Ring doorbell camera.
So you bought a Ring camera, and?
I bought the Ring camera, and from that day, I have now to this day hundreds of videos of him harassing me.
And other than these two calls to the police, did you make any other calls to the police about him?
Yes.
How many?
There were 6 total. Over the last 2+ years, 6 total reports.
Did you ever ask him to park his cars in front of his own building?
No, because at this...
Did you ask anyone else, like the condo association, anyone else, to ask him to park his cars in front of his own building?
I had brought that to the HOA attention.
When you say you brought it to the HOA, you went to the homeowners association.
I did.
And when you went to the homeowners association, in what month and year was that?
Approximately March of 2022.
Did you go to them in person or by mail?
By email.
I'd like to see it.
Unfortunately, I don't have that email.
Do you remember the complaint that you made when you sent an email to the homeowners association?
I do.
Well, in your best terms, what did you complain about?
I just said, I understand that there are no assigned parking spots, but he's got 6, 8 spots in front of his. I have 4. And ever since we've started to have problems with one another, he started parking 1, 2, or 3 of his vehicles in front of mine.
True.
And was that the only complaint that you made? Was that all that you said in the email to them?
Yes, it was strictly parking.
Did they respond to you?
They did.
And what was the response?
Parking is not assigned.
Parking is not assigned. Right. Now, there came a point where you filed harassment charges against him, and there was a trial.
That's not true. There was no trial.
You filed harassment charges against him. Were you arrested, sir?
No, I was cited, though.
Okay.
I stopped at my house.
And did you both appear at some sort of a hearing with regard to that?
Yes.
When was that?
I filed the protection order on June 29th, 2022.
And you served him. Do you have a copy of that complaint?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay. So this says, after reporting he has harassed me verbally via telecommunications and has physically stalked me, after reporting his drug use to the police, comments of "go kill yourself," some very bad language, have been made through my security camera. He also flips me off while shouting, again, expletive, into my camera. He watches me from his window when I walk outside.
That's not true.
Now, when you appeared together, what place did you go to? A courthouse?
Yes.
And did you appear before a judge?
Yes.
What month did you appear before a judge in 2022?
I have noted that October 7th of 2022, the charges that he had received were in fact dropped. But when
just a second, I'm not there yet.
You want to tell me to go kill myself? Is my camera calling back? Hey,
Just a second, who are those together with him to a courthouse? What happened when you went with him to the courthouse?
So the first time we went to the courthouse, we had gone on 2 different occasions. The first time we met with a judge and I was given the opportunity to testify. I went up on the stand and I gave her a summary of what he's been doing to me. During this testimony, the judge actually pulled the counsel into the back room. And when she came out, she said, "Mr. Albrecht, I see what you're doing." She said, "I see you looking at her."
I want to know what happened with that case. You testified. You had a lawyer. He had a lawyer.
I didn't have a lawyer at that
You
time.
said you had a public defender.
Right, a public defender. I hadn't hired.
Just a second. A public defender is a lawyer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Just because you're not paying for it doesn't mean he or she is not a lawyer. You had a lawyer.
Yes.
And after you testified, what happened?
The hearing was continued.
To another day.
That's correct.
And what happened on the next date, which was when?
The next date was October 7th of 2022.
Okay, and what happened on that date?
So my public defender was there. We just waited, and she came over to me and said that the case was dismissed. I never saw anybody or.
Oh, just a second. You came back the next time, and your case was dismissed.
Yes.
So, do you have a decision with regard to that? Do you have a decision with regard to that? I'm just curious as to what happened.
Well, there was actually 7 court dates that I attended. Those first few were arraignments.
Does anybody have any written document with regard to what happened at that hearing?
I have the court details right here with the dismissed.
Well, all it says is dismissed. I don't know.
Well, it's the whole court detail.
Just a second.
It'll illuminate on all the court dates that she's forgotten about.
Mr. Albrecht. Oh, yeah, there were a lot of court dates.
There were a lot.
You don't have to agree with me, sir. That's a statement. So there was nothing but a dismissal. And it was a dismissal after you testified. After you testified, the case was ultimately dismissed. I'm not entertaining your case because your case has already been adjudicated. It was dismissed. So I'm not hearing that. It's not that it was dismissed on some technicality. You, in fact, testified. Your case against him has already had its day in court. Do you understand? Yeah. Okay. Now, let's get back to false charges, lost wages. Now, Mr. Auerbach, false charges. He has harassed me via telecommunications. Okay, so that's what you say. I want you to tell me exactly what telecommunications you've referenced.
So I have a video that I would like to show on the big screen. If you
Just a second. Is that the telecommunications that you're talking about?
Yes. So on the Ring camera, him constantly talking into my camera or making gestures at the camera of my home.
And that was after you called the police several times on the defendant, who was never arrested as a result of any of those complaints. No charges ever filed against him. And then you put a Ring camera in because he said something about cleaning up after your dog. That frightened you. I must admit, I am less than ladylike. I think when I see somebody who's failing to pick up after their dog, as far as I'm concerned, it should be a felony, punishable by 15 to life.
I've never not picked up. I have a little Shih Tzu, and
I'm just telling you.
Lots of Shih Tzu.
I always
okay,
pick up.
so now I'd like to see, after you put a Ring camera in, because after you started to have trouble with him, according to you, for doing nothing that was illegal, but for which you called the police several times, now I'll see your video.
Standing on my doorstep.
Flicking me off, spitting, flicking me off.
That's stupid dumb.
This is every day.
Why? Oh, thankful, grateful, blessed. Yeah, we'll see about that. You're gonna be paying me.
Get shot.
You talked to my daughter.
When he attacked my dad.
I never talked to her before. Talk to me. Talk to me. No. No, man to man.
You want to tell me to go kill myself? Is my camera calling back?
Just a second. Who are those people?
So the rainbow hoodie is myself. The person with the flannel was my dad, who
Okay, so that was your father.
Seconds prior
That was just
attacked outside in the parking lot.
I don't know about that or not. I asked who it was. I didn't see any attack. I saw that you're not getting along. Okay, keep going.
Hey, dude, why don't you leave me alone? I'm 25 years younger than you.
Anything else?
It's the end of the video.
Thank you.
That's
Has physically stalked me.
Yes.
I want to know how he has physically stalked you. Is that what I just saw? Or you're talking about follows you to your job, follows you to... Let me hear.
Never.
So I have a little Shih Tzu that I walk around my neighborhood, and when I'm walking her, he has gotten into his Camaro, came up right next to us, puts it in neutral, and rums his engine at me as I'm walking my dog, me minding my business, looking straight. I don't say anything back. I just keep going till I get home to my house.
How many times had you called the police on him? Because you see, you hadn't had any trouble with him, which is what I'm having a problem wrapping. You sold a car to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
What she is doing is she is manipulating the contract.
You signed the documents. You knew now what you were buying.
The contract that I signed was trash, was garbage.
That's your problem.
No, ma'am, it's
Your
not.
problem. I'm telling you, it's your problem.
Oh, my goodness.
This is Judy Justice. For the cost of car parts, claiming it was a defective vehicle.
You took possession of the Saturn Vue. I know you took possession of it because he drove it to work. Just a second. So I want you to not waste my time anymore telling me that there was a bait and switch.
What I'm telling you is that when I had the Saturn Vue, I took the Saturn Vue to Walmart to get the alignment and the tire. I found out that the car was a junk car. She came to my house. Within that evening, when we did this contract, it was for the Chevy Impala because the car had needed a whole lot of work.
Let me explain something to you, Ms. Walls.
This contract
what I want to explain to you is this. This case is don't raise your hand. This case is very long and it's got a lot of little tentacles. However, if what you're saying to me is you never felt as if you had bought this car because you were tricked into buying it, right? Is that, just a second, that it was never yours?
No, that's not what I'm saying, Ms.
Well, then don't waste my time with all this.
Only thing I'm saying is this contract was not about the Saturn Vue. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Fine. Let's put this away. This is dated September 21st. On September 21st, did you take possession of the Saturn? That's my question very carefully. On what date did you take possession of the Saturn?
On the 23rd.
2 days later.
Yes.
Just a second. 2 days later, okay? And when you took possession of the Saturn, the very next thing that you did with was go to the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Yes.
Both of you went to the Department of Motor Vehicles because this title to the car says that it's in your name.
Yes.
This is in your name, so you just pay attention. You have to be there for it to be in your name. You're there. And it says additional owners, because there was still money owed on the car, was the plaintiff. Do you see?
The title was never in her name.
It doesn't.
And what I'm trying to explain to you is when we went there, on the title, it said $100 was owed for the Saturn Vue.
I don't care what kind of scam the two of you are pulling on the tax department. I don't want you to think that I'm stupid.
No, ma'am.
You went there with her, took possession of the Saturn, went with her to motor vehicles, signed the documents which would indicate you're the owner of the Saturn, and that was done. The date issued was the 28th of September. My next question to you, Ms. Walls, is on the 23rd, when you got the Saturn,
I didn't get the Saturn on it. I'm sorry, I'm confused. I made a mistake. I apologize to the court. Because the same day, I took the car to Walmart. The same day, we came back she met me at my apartment. We sat on the balcony and did this contract for the Chevy.
I don't care about the Chevy anymore.
Okay, all right.
I don't care about the Chevy anymore.
Yes, ma'am, all right.
Don't say that name.
All right. Okay.
You told me, Miss Walls,
I did
that this contract was written on the 21st.
I was mistaken.
No, it was written on the 21st.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I promise you it wasn't.
Well, show me a different document that says something other than the 21st.
My proof is that when the same day the car was bought was the same day we went to the DMV to get the tag. On the same day that we went to get the tag, that was the date of me taking ownership of the Saturn Vue, which is on the 28th.
Just a second. I could read back to you what you said before. You said it was 2 days later that you switched.
I made a mistake.
It was 2 days later that you switched from the Impala, which I said I'd never say again, to the Vue. You said 3 days later.
Okay,
then let's get back.
I was mistaken.
Just a second. Don't clear anything up for me. I'm going to get a timeline. Put your hand down. How did you get to the Department of Motor Vehicles?
We drove the Saturn Vue.
Okay. The two of you drove the Saturn.
On the 28th.
Yes, it was the 28th.
The date of the purchase of the Saturn Vue.
Just a second. The two of you drove the Saturn Vue on the 28th to the Department of Motor Vehicles. And now don't speak. The two of you didn't drive. One of you drove and one of you was the passenger. Who drove?
I think she drove. She drove.
No. Okay. Where was the car parked on the 28th?
On the 28th?
Well, just a second. I can see it's slippery. Where was the car parked on the 28th?
Your Honor, can I go back a little bit? please?
No.
Okay.
I asked
it
you
was
where
parked
the...
It was parked
No,
at,
just...
okay. It was parked at her house on the 21st to the 28th because I parked it at her house. So the 28th, it was at her house.
Did she? Okay, sorry. Okie dokie, stand up. You're her son, you work full time?
Yes, ma'am.
Move over there. Who do you work for?
At the time, I was working for Caterpillar.
Where are they located?
Lafayette, Indiana.
And how far was that from your mother's house?
10 minutes away.
And you were living with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times did you drive the Saturn to work? How many days?
2 weeks.
From when to when?
From
Well, let
September.
me put it to you this. When did your job end?
My job ended October 30th.
And what was the first day you drove this car to work?
October 1st.
You never drove the car to work before that?
No, ma'am, I have not.
How were you getting to work before that?
Uber, sometimes Lyft.
Now, your mother had this car at her house. Why didn't you take this car before?
Because they were rationing out their agreement upon the car. I was told that the car needed to be worked on. That way I couldn't use it because it was undrivable.
Okay, and you did in fact drive it on October 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
So if it was undrivable before October 1st, someone made it drivable.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and at some point, the car was taken to a mechanic.
Yes, ma'am.
That was before October 1st, because you drove the car October 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay. And how long did the car stay in the mechanic?
It couldn't have been no more than 2 days because I drove it on October 3rd. But when I drove it to work on October 3rd.
October 1st, you drove it.
Yes,
was
ma'am.
the first day that you said you drove the car?
Yes, ma'am. That was the first day.
Okay. I look at what you swore to at
What
the
I
department.
swore
No,
to?
speak not. This is what your son was driving.